Chapter 1196, The Announcement of the Great War. Chapter 1196, The Announcement of the Great War. There were a large number of people standing on a large empty ground within the Green Fire Palace. Not long ago, the master of Samsara Temple ordered that all the holy masters of the palace gather here. Whether they were in the palace, out adventuring on the battlefield, or cultivating behind closed doors, the holy masters came to this spot as swiftly as possible. Most of them were confused and doubtful of the reason for their gathering. What's going on? They gathered all the holy masters, even those out on the battlefield. Isn't that Holy Master Yun? It's really him. That's the oldest existence in our Green Fire Palace. Moreover, he has shut himself in without seeing anyone for a long time. To think that even he would show up. Something must have happened for them to call for such a large-scale gathering. Could it be a war against the Jin Kingdom? The empty ground was abuzz with discussion. Swoosh, swoosh. Suddenly, two persons appeared in the void in front of the empty ground. These two were the Master of Samsara Temple and the Master of Void Temple. Greetings, Master of Samsara Temple, Master of Void Temple. The holy masters gathered on the empty ground immediately paid their respects. The Master of Samsara Temple and the Master of Void Temple exchanged looks. Let's begin, the Master of Void Temple said. The Master of Samsara Temple nodded. He then addressed the crowd in a booming voice, saying, "Everyone, there's only one reason behind this gathering today. I'm sure many of you have already guessed this reason, that is, a war is about to break out between the Green Fire Palace and the Jin Kingdom." These words swept the holy masters on the empty ground like wildfire. The war is here as expected. It's finally here. I wonder if it's our side or the other side who waged the war. Since our forces are a little weaker than the forces of the Jin Kingdom, logic dictates that the Jin Kingdom is the one to incite the war. Humph! This Jin Kingdom sure is audacious. Even with our weaknesses, we ultimately still won the war against them 5 million years ago. And they dare wage a war against us now that our forces are not much weaker than theirs? They're really digging their own graves, aren't they? Many of the holy masters began gearing up for a fight. The Green Fire Palace and the Jin Kingdom had a long history of enmity. Aside from the war 5 million years ago, there had been countless battles between the two. The grudge accumulated over the years was unimaginably deep. Many of them had lost their friends to the Jin Kingdom. Naturally, they sought revenge against the latter. The Master of Samsara Temple and the Master of Void Temple both secretly shook their heads after seeing the current scene. Everyone, this wouldn't be an ordinary war. It involves the life and death of the entire Green Fire world. Any mishap and our domain will be completely annihilated, the Master of Samsara Temple said solemnly. What? Many of the holy masters on the empty ground raised their heads to look at him. To them, the current strength of the Green Fire Palace was enough for them to block the attacks of the Jin Kingdom. Why would the situation worsen to the point that their survival would be at stake? The Master of Samsara Temple did not elaborate. With a wave of his hand, a scene began playing in the void in front of him. Naturally, the scene was of the immense tunnel outside the battlefield as well as the spaceship slowly traveling inside of it. What's that? The holy masters appeared alarmed to see the spaceship depicted in the scene. You've all seen this. The Master of Samsara Temple continued solemnly, this spaceship is just the reinforcement of the Jin Kingdom but also its main force. It's personally manned by the Supreme Monarch of the Kingdom. It's now in the void outside the battlefield and it'll take at most 80 years before it arrives. When the time comes, the spaceship under the command of the Monarch of Jin Kingdom will certainly incite a war that will destroy our Green Fire world. And this war will be even more dangerous for us than the one 5 million years ago. What? Many holy masters on the ground were dumbfounded. The Green Fire Palace and the entire Green Fire world had paid an unimaginable price for winning the war 5 million years ago. Countless experts gave their lives to block the attacks from the Jin Kingdom. Back then, the Green Fire world was already towing the line between life and death. But this war will be even more dangerous. A considerable amount of holy masters began to dread the upcoming war. I don't wish to scare you, but there are things that I must inform you all, the master of Samsara Temple said in a booming voice. This war is different from the one 5 million years ago. This time, the Jin Kingdom will come prepared. In fact, they will even come full force to wipe out our green fire world to make it easier to occupy the battlefield. In my conservative estimates, they have brought at least several times the number of experts they brought 5 million years ago. Moreover, their monarch, who is considered a supreme expert above the universe master level, will command them personally. In our palace, and even in the entire domain, we don't have any peak experts who can contend with the monarch of Jin Kingdom. The holy masters on the empty ground immediately paled after hearing his words. There will be several times more experts this time than the war 5 million years ago. The monarch of Jin Kingdom will personally come here. How can our green fire palace resist such a terrifying force? We're done for. This is the end for our green fire world. Shrill voices that carried alarm reverberated in the empty ground. Many of the holy masters wore expressions of defeat. This was only to be expected. The forces of the Jin Kingdom this time was too formidable. Furthermore, there would be several times more experts who would arrive this time compared to 5 million years ago. It had been a great struggle to resist the Jin Kingdom then, but there was now even more Jin Kingdom experts who would soon storm their domain. Moreover, the monarch would be personally leading the Jin Kingdom experts. What could the Green Fire Palace do to resist them? The Master of Samsara Temple and the Master of Void Temple took in the expressions of the holy masters on the empty ground. Their own faces darkened a little. This was precisely what they worried about the most. This was merely an announcement of the upcoming war, not the war itself, and yet the Green Fire Palace experts were already in such a state of panic and fear. In fact, some already felt hopeless. When the forces of Jin Kingdom descend on them, they would truly be in a vulnerable state. Humph! The Master of Samsara Temple suddenly let out a loud sneer that exerted a heavy pressure on the holy masters underneath. The holy masters could not help quivering under such pressure, and all of them began to shut their mouths. Chapter 1197, The Scene. Chapter 1197, The Scene. Look at your faces. Look at how you're behaving. There was anger concealed in the voice of the Master of Samsara Temple as his voice reverberated in the ears of the holy masters gathered like the booming of thunder. Useless fools! The Master of Void Temple roared furiously. The holy masters were thunderstruck. The Master of Samsara Temple continued, if you're this fearful before the forces of the Jin Kingdom arrive, the people of our green fire world can just sit and wait for our deaths when they truly descend on us. Humph! The Master of Void Temple once again snorted coldly, the sound like a harsh rap on the hearts of the holy masters. Listen up, all of you. Even though the forces of the Jin Kingdom are formidable, we aren't the same green fire world of 5 million years ago. If we unite and work together, there's still hope of survival. Moreover, so what if we can't block the attacks of the Jin Kingdom and get annihilated? Even a beast that has no intelligence will bare its fangs and launch a final attack in the face of certain death. It will strive to break its enemy's jaw even at the cost of its life. But look at you all. Have you all lived for so long that you have lost even this bit of enthusiasm? Do we not even have the most basic courage to fight even when we are facing formidable enemies? The words of the Master of Void Temple reverberated in the hearts of the holy masters, many of whom appeared sheepish. There were also those who looked fired up. Enthusiasm. It was something that existed in everyone. Even though these holy masters had lived very long lives until they were all wizened, the passion rooted in their bones never once dissipated with age. Even if your passion is all but gone due to your age, you still have your pride, don't you? The Master of Void Temple continued, his gaze sweeping the holy masters. I'll now show you another scene. I want you to look carefully. He then waved his hand and a scene immediately appeared in the void. The first scene surprisingly depicted the area that was shrouded in the purple mist. That's the former capital of the Jin Kingdom? Recognizing the area shrouded in purple mist at once, the Holy Masters all wore expressions of confusion over the intentions of the Master of Void Temple. Just then, a streak of light was immediately thrown into the purple mist. An earth-shattering explosion followed and the purple mist promptly dissipated. The four palace masters, the Master of Samsara Temple, the Master of Void Temple, Emperor of Tang, and Emperor of the Rising Sun Sword, immediately charged at a puppet fighter. The Holy Masters on the empty ground looked astonished. The former capital of the Jin Kingdom. The four palace masters attacked the former capital of the Jin Kingdom? Those puppet fighters were of the universe master level. To this, the scene of the experts from the Jin Kingdom and the Green Fire Palace wearing played. The Master of Samsara Temple had immediately demonstrated his overwhelming strength to suppress Red Snow King. Red Lotus had unleashed his 9 Serenities world that unveiled pressure over the entire battlefield and killed a large number of holy masters from the Jin Kingdom. The Master of Samsara Temple is so powerful. That's Red Lotus 9 Serenities world? The 5 great palace masters of the Green Fire Palace had gone all out. Emotional sighs and exclamations resounded throughout the empty ground. Open your eyes wide for the next scene, the Master of Void Temple suddenly said, giving them a reminder. The Holy Masters stared carefully at the unfolding scene and, as expected, they saw a great shift in the battle. They saw a cold sword light rising from a corner of the battlefield and exterminating King Golden Rock of the Jin Kingdom at lightning speed. Oh my God, King Golden Rock is killed. What speed? Who is it? Who's the one responsible for that swordsmanship? Amid the sea of exclamations, the scene depicted a silhouette charging toward King Fantastical Heaven and killed him at a similarly terrifying swordsmanship and speed. It was only then that they got a clear look at the figure. That's... The Holy Masters stared fixedly at the figure depicted on the scene. Then, a commotion broke out. Jian Wushuang. That's Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang. How could it be Jian Wushuang? Jian Wushuang didn't die. They were all shocked. It was the 5 palace masters who personally announced Jian Wushuang's death 1,800 years ago. It had been a collective loss for them. Yet they saw Jian Wushuang once again, who now slaughtered holy masters like he was slaughtering chickens. The following scene was akin to a great massacre as Jian Wushuang killed another universe master of the Jin Kingdom. He alone had killed 3 great universe masters of the Jin Kingdom. Then, they saw Red Snow King using his soul-luring skill to bring the descent of the monarch of the Jin Kingdom upon them. Even the Master of Samsara Temple suffered defeat in the hands of the manifestation of the monarch's consciousness. Their hearts thumped furiously as they watched. Many of them even wore expressions of fear, conveying their dread of the might of the monarch of Jin Kingdom. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang once again made his move. The Holy Masters once again made a ruckus when they saw Jian Wushuang making his move. What a joke! The monarch defeated even the Master of Samsara Temple. What's Jian Wushuang doing, going up to him alone like that? Reckless. He's too reckless. This Jian Wushuang. He ought to be teaming up with the palace masters and fight the manifestation of the monarch's consciousness. Quite a few people bristled. However, the following scene silenced them. They watched as Jian Wushuang unleashed his gleaming sword and exchanged blows with the monarch of Jin Kingdom. The outcome was surprisingly an equaled match. It was a true equaled match. Not even the Master of Samsara Temple is a match for the monarch, but Jian Wushuang. He's capable of contending with the monarch? How could he be that strong? He's far too strong. These holy masters were all dumbfounded. Then, the scene showed them how Jian Wushuang demonstrated the entirety of his strength and how he and his doppelganger worked with the Master of Samsara Temple to finally crush the monarch of Jin Kingdom's consciousness. The scene also showed how the Jin Kingdom experts were massacred. The scene kept going for a while before finally ending. The holy masters gathered on the ground stood there speechlessly, looking stupefied. Emotions surged violently within them. The master of Samsara Temple and the master of Void Temple silently took in the expressions of the holy masters. After a while, the former finally opened his mouth to speak in a chilly voice. "Have you taken a good look?" Silence fell over the holy masters. "Humph." The voice of the master of Samsara Temple was icy cold. "How many years have you all been living? How many thousands and hundreds of thousands have it been? There are those among you who have lived for millions of years. Even the youngest of you lot are 100,000s or even million years old. Yet look at Jian Wushuang." Chapter 1198, The Sixth Palace Master. Chapter 1198, The Sixth Palace Master. It hasn't even been 5,000 years since Jian Wushuang began his cultivation. But when he found out that war is imminent and that our green fire world is in danger, what did he do? He teamed up with us to attack the former capital of the Jin Kingdom, slaughter the enemies, and destroy the remnants of the kingdom's foundation on this battlefield, all to eke out a tiny hope of survival for us. But this means that the Jin Kingdom will know he's still alive and will most certainly target him. We can say that he's already cornered himself to the edge of the cliff for the sake of our green fire world. If the army of Jin Kingdom truly descends upon us, he would be the first one they wish to kill. But look at all of you. Did you spend so many years living only to become a coward? The master of Samsara Temple scolded the holy masters. The holy masters gathered around were all ashamed of themselves. It was true that Jian Wushuang had pushed himself to the brink of death when he attacked the monarch of Jin Kingdom. He had done it for the sake of the green fire world. They, who were many years older than Jian Wushuang, appeared to be so much inferior in contrast. This inferiority was not only in terms of strength but courage as well. If we're talking about strength, I know I'm no match for Jian Wushuang. But when it comes to passion, I'm not any weaker. I've long found my long life to be sufficient. If a youngster like Jian Wushuang isn't afraid of the forces of the Jin Kingdom, what do I have to fear? Come at me, Jin Kingdom. If worst comes to worst, I'll just die. Let's have an all-out war against the Jin Kingdom. Even if we die in the end, we must still unfang the Jin Kingdom before that. Booming voices resounded on the empty ground as these holy masters began to get fired up. The master of Samsara Temple and the master of Void Temple wore satisfied smiles on their faces when they saw this scene. They tried to use Jian Wushuang's bravery to provoke these holy masters, and from the looks of it, their plan worked rather effectively. The passion in these holy masters had been thoroughly invoked. Their morale was largely boosted as well. Swoosh! Just then, Jian Wushuang appeared next to the master of Samsara Temple. Boom! A majestic and boundless air surged from within him and pervaded every corner of the empty ground. Silence once again fell over the holy masters. Listen well. From today onward, Jian Wushuang is the sixth palace master of our Green Fire Palace. His position is equivalent to mine. The master of Samsara Temple announced in a booming voice. Greetings, Palace Master. Greetings, Palace Master. The holy masters underneath them all paid their respects to Jian Wushuang, fervent energy burning in their eyes. Jian Wushuang stood there, overlooking everything underneath. His expression was rather strange. Master of Samsara Temple, isn't this a little too much? He asked via telepathy. He noticed that the determined look on the holy masters. Evidently, they had prepared themselves for certain death. Too much. The master of Samsara Temple shook his head. There's only a shred of hope for our green fire world, and this shred of hope is only possible if we all carry the determination to die. It's only when we're prepared to pay any price that we can hold on to the hope. This includes even me and all those who will participate in the war. Everyone must carry the determination to die. Jian Wushuang, you must also mentally prepare yourself. Jian Wushuang was stunned but promptly recovered and nodded seriously. There are 80 years before the army of Jin Kingdom will arrive. Even though 80 years aren't a long time, It's also a rare chance for us to make our preparations. Go and prepare for the war. The master of Samsara Temple's voice rang in their ears. The holy masters of the Green Fire Palace immediately set out to do as ordered. Jian Wushuang, the master of Samsara Temple, and the master of Void Temple were seated inside a towering palace. Jian Wushuang will typically hold a 3-day banquet to celebrate the appointment of a new palace master, but we couldn't do so due to the urgency of the situation, the master of Samsara Temple said. No matter. It's not too late to hold a banquet when we claim victory 80 years later, Jian Wushuang said with a chuckle. You're right. The master of Samsara Temple laughed. The war this time will be more perilous than the one 5 million years ago, but our Green Fire world isn't completely helpless. If we unite and do whatever necessary, we stand at least a 10% chance of victory. 10% chance of victory? Jian Wushuang's heart thumped. He found the estimation to be too optimistic. There will be countless experts in the army of Jin Kingdom this time, including the monarch himself. Their collective strength was at least 10 times stronger than that of the Green Fire world. It was already a miracle that they have any hope of winning considering how disparate their forces were. The master of Samsara Temple looked at Jian Wushuang. But, do you find it unbelievable? Yes. Jian Wushuang gave a small nod. The master of Samsara Temple burst out laughing. Beside him, the master of Void Temple was also smiling. The former then continued, Jian Wushuang, you've only become an official palace master today and don't know many of the true secrets of our palace. I'll inform you now. Secrets? Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. You should be very well aware that the battlefield that we are on contains countless opportunities and treasures. The battlefield itself is such a priceless treasure that even the Jin Kingdom, that originates from the ancient world, desperately covets it. And yet our Green Fire Palace has existed in this place for more than 40 million years. How can our palace be underestimated when we have accumulated resources over a whopping 40 million years? The master of Samsara Temple laughed. You've seen the puppet fighter on the Universe Master level. Even though it's one of our treasures, but it can't be considered as our true trump card. There are 3 true trump cards in the Green Fire Palace. Jian Wushuang raised an eyebrow. 3 trump cards? He had previously guessed that the Green Fire Palace would certainly have trump cards in hand after so many years on the battlefield. Today, he was proven correct. However, he did not know what those trump cards were. Our first trump card is our tactical formation, the master of Samsara Temple said. Tactical formation? Surprise flitted across Jian Wushuang's expression. He was familiar with formations, but he had never heard of a tactical formation. Jian Wushuang, do you remember how you and your father killed the ancient demon clan back in the Samsara continent when rescuing your mother? The master of Samsara Temple asked. Of course. Jian Wushuang nodded. Then you must also remember that the ancient demon clan dispatched their 9 divine guards who made up an ancient god tactical formation, he continued asking with a smile. Ancient god tactical formation? Jian Wushuang's heart jolted. Naturally, he remembered that ancient god tactical formation. The 9 divine guards had been mere Dao masters of varying strengths, but when they paired with the ancient god lineage and teamed up to constitute the ancient god tactical formation, their collective might was incredible. In fact, they were strong enough to rival a holy master. Chapter 1199. The Trump Cards of Green Fire Palace. Chapter 1199. The Trump Cards of Green Fire Palace. The 9 of them are just Dao masters, but put them together and their strength equals that of a celestial master. The ancient god battle formation had left a lasting impression on Jian Wushuang. Samsara Temple Master laughed. The ancient god battle formation is a kind of tactical formations. It's not a particularly strong one. Do you mean that there's an even better formation in Green Fire Palace? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes. Samsara Temple Master nodded. The huge battlefield is the product of an earth-shaking battle. Both the number of experts participating in that battle and their strength are all far beyond my imagination. In that battle, experts from both sides used tactical formations. Since many died, their tactical formations were also left there. We've obtained several tactical formations over the past 400 million years, but they're all extraordinary, so they're put to use in the Green Fire world. Thus, they're not available at the Fire Points Exchange office. But it's now time to use them here with the decisive battle with the Gene Kingdom looming. Void and I have already informed all experts residing in the Green Fire world about the upcoming battle as well as the strong enemies that they should watch out for. We also ordered all experts over the Dao Master level to join the battle. Experts over the Dao Master level to join the battle? Jian Wushuang was shocked. There were 2 continents in the Green Fire world. In Samsara continent alone, there were billions of people, countless factions, and innumerable Dao Masters. The vast Void continent was also home to a lot of Dao Masters. It was difficult to even imagine just how many experts over the Dao Master level would there be in the entire Green Fire world. Moreover, they were now all ordered to go to war. The Gene Kingdom will be going all out in this war, but they'll likely just send Universe and Celestial Masters here. Since we don't have as many Universe and Celestial Masters on our side, all we can do is make up for the power imbalance with the numbers of our Dao Masters. Samsara Temple Master added. Great power in numbers? Jian Wushuang blurted out. Yes. Great power in numbers, Samsara Temple Master said. It was our huge population, especially our huge number of Dao Masters, that narrowed the gap in experts of high realms between 2 sides 5 million years ago. That was how we withstood the attack of the Gene Kingdom. So will we this time. Normally, these Dao Masters could only be cannon fodder in the battlefield. But it's a completely different situation if they team up to form a tactical formation. Samsara Temple Master's eyes turned cold. We've gained various tactical formations. The simplest ones need only 10 Dao Masters to unleash a strength that rivals a Celestial Master. When hundreds of Dao Masters work together to form even larger formations, their power could equal that of the tactical formation of an advanced Celestial Master and even one in the exceptional realm. For higher level, if thousands of Dao Masters work together, their battle strength equals that of a Universe Master. Jian Wushuang could not help secretly exclaiming to himself as he listened. Usually, a normal Dao Master would be no more than cannon fodder if he fought alone in a battle of such level. Even the small sliver of power in the aftermath could kill a Dao Master, never mind trying to make a difference in the battlefield. If they worked together, however, it was a whole other story. Of course, there's a limit to how much these formations can help us. It's our 2 remaining trump cards that we're counting on, Samsara Temple Master said. What are they? Jian Wushuang asked. One of them is the land we stand upon, Samsara Temple Master answered. Land? Jian Wushuang was startled. You mean the land where Green Fire Palace lies? Our base? Correct. Samsara Temple Master smiled. You've been here for quite some time. Surely, you must be aware of the uniqueness of this land. Yes. Jian Wushuang solemnly nodded. Cultivation is much more effective here. Besides, the palaces, attics, flowers, and trees could never be destroyed. That's quite unique. Of course, why else would we choose to build our base here? Samsara Temple Master replied, smiling. Follow me. Samsara Temple Master and Void Temple Master led Jian Wushuang to the most secret chamber of Green Fire Palace. The chamber lay deep underground in the center of the palace. It was covered with restrictions that prevented even Celestial and Universe Masters from forcing their way in. Jian Wushuang entered the secret chamber under Samsara Temple Master's guidance. The floating luminous pearls immediately caught his eye when he entered. The pearls of varying colors were distinctive. Void Temple Master, Samsara Temple Master, Palace Master Jian Wushuang. A white-haired elder in front of the luminous pearls exclaimed. Celestial Master Yun? Jian Wushuang's expression betrayed his surprise. Celestial Master Yun is the oldest Celestial Master in Green Fire Palace. His position is no lower than us Palace Masters. He's in charge of the formation cast over the battlefield as well the land where our palace sits, said Samsara Temple Master. Oh. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. He knew that Celestial Master Dao Yun enjoyed an esteemed position and commanded a deep respect from the palace masters, but did not expect Dao Yun to be in charge of such important things. Celestial Master Yun, let Jian Wushuang look at the land we're on. Samsara Temple Master smiled. All right. Yun nodded and showed Jian Wushuang a luminous pearl. You'll be able to get the complete overview of the land through this pearl, even the deepest corners of it, he said. Jian Wushuang immediately poured his soul power into the pearl. A short moment later, he retrieved his soul power. His face was now pale with shock and horror. Is this place a battle fortress? Jian Wushuang cried. Samsara Temple Master laughed. Yes, it's a battle fortress. This land is a mobile battle fortress. It's formidable because we can both attack and defend here. Unfortunately, when we found and occupied this fortress, 90% of it was damaged. The only things left were only some basic defense or attack skills. Even so, it's still our killing weapon. To a great extent, we owe our victory 500 million years ago to this battle fortress. Chapter 1200, The Battle Fortress. Chapter 1200, The Battle Fortress. Shock gripped Jian Wushuang. He could tell that this land was extraordinary but never expected it to be a huge battle fortress. So it's a battle fortress. Gu King, who parasitized Jian Wushuang, was also amazed. It's a challenge to refine a battle fortress. In the eternal chaotic world, even the lowest level battle fortress is worth far more than a chaos magic treasure. The high-level ones are killing machines and an absolute nightmare. This battle fortress is a high-level one and is invaluable despite being 90% destroyed. If it's intact, its value would be even higher than normal Chaos Divine Treasures. It's more valuable than Chaos Divine Treasures? Jian Wushuang was stunned. This is getting interesting. To think that such a high-level battle fortress would appear in this battlefield and greatly destroyed at that. I'm really curious what sort of war formed this vast battlefield. Gu King sighed. Can we fight the Jin Kingdom with such a strong battle fortress? Jian Wushuang asked quietly. A direct fight? Gu King laughed. Never mind that, you can even wipe out the entire Jin Kingdom with ease if you can maximize whatever potential left of this battle fortress. The problem is that you can't. This fortress is like a baby equipped a peerless sword. It's a good sword but the baby can't demonstrate its power at all. What is the use? It can't be used? Jian Wushuang frowned. Jian Wushuang, ask them what other means left in the battle fortress that are of use, said Gu King. Jian Wushuang did as requested. Samsara Temple Master momentarily paused before answering. There are many useful methods in the fortress but their levels are too high. Even some basic attacking methods require the command of dozens of and even hundreds of experts over the Universe Master level. We're not strong enough to use some of the attacking methods of the fortress. The only offense we can use is the Divine Rays of the North. It's the weakest attacking method in the fortress but it's still something to contend with. One streak of Divine Rays of the North can easily kill a Universe Master but it's not strong enough to kill experts as strong as Monarch of the Jin Kingdom. However, there aren't many Divine Rays of the North left. There are only 20 left. Divine Rays of the North? Gu King's voice resounded inside Jian Wushuang's mind. Its one break carries about the same force as an attack from experts as strong as the Monarch of the Jin Kingdom. It's more than enough to kill a Universe Master but it's no more than a wild wish to kill the Monarch of the Jin Kingdom. In other words, we can find an opportunity to kill the 20 Universe Masters of the Jin Kingdom with this fortress. Jian Wushuang clasped his hands. You can put it that way. We fully utilized the Divine Rays of the North in the battle 5 million years ago and killed many Jin Kingdom experts, Samsara Temple Master said. In addition, though we have few usable attacking methods, there are still the basic defense movements in this fortress. Even the Monarch of the Jin Kingdom won't be able to break these defense formations. We can rely on the fortress to take the initiative and fight or retreat at our will. There is nothing the Jin Kingdom can do about us. Doesn't that make us invincible? Jian Wushuang's eyes gleamed. It's not that simple. Samsara Temple Master shook his head. The fortress can only withstand the attack of the Jin Kingdom. If they ignore us and attack the Green Fire World instead, is it reasonable for us to stay here and watch them to destroy the Green Fire World? That makes sense. Jian Wushuang nodded solemnly. The Green Fire World sat right behind Green Fire Palace. Once the Green Fire Palace experts retreat to the fortress and stop putting up a fight, it was likely that the Jin Kingdom would charge toward the Green Fire World to force the Green Fire Palace experts out. Even so, this fortress allows the Green Fire World to cope more easily with the Jin Kingdom experts. If any of us sustain life-threatening injuries, we can run to the fortress and recover, Jian Wushuang said. That's the idea. Samsara Temple Master nodded with a smile. This fortress is undoubtedly our most powerful trump card. Moreover, there's our second trump card too, a puppet fighter. A puppet fighter? Jian Wushuang frowned. Regular puppet fighters, even ones like Jian Wushuang's axe whose strength equaled that of a top universe master, could not be a trump card. For a puppet fighter to be strong enough to be considered a trump card, it must be. Is it in the realm similar to the monarch of the Jin Kingdom? Jian Wushuang said in a low voice. No. Samsara Temple Master shook his head. It's a formidable puppet fighter that is even more terrifying than the monarch of the Jin Kingdom if its power is fully unleashed. Unfortunately, it consumes fire gems and its strength also depends on fire gems. Fire gems are so rare that I collected just a small amount of them after searching the battlefield for over 400 million years. With so few fire gems, it's impossible to unleash the puppet fighter's true power. Even if it can display similar battle strength as the monarch of the Jin Kingdom, it can last only about 10 breaths. 5 million years ago, we have even fewer fire gems. The puppet fighter didn't even have a chance to fight. I see. Understanding dawned on Jian Wushuang. In other words, we have a trump card that can counter the monarch of the Jin Kingdom for dozens of breaths long. Yes. Samsara Temple Master solemnly nodded. Our three strongest trump cards are tactical formations, the battle fortress, and the puppet fighter. Besides, we wouldn't be stingy with resources in life and death war. We'll provide any treasures you need, be it Emperor weapons, Chaos Emperor weapons, or Chaos magic treasures. You don't even need to exchange for them in the Fire Points Exchange Office. We'll also make available the secret skills in Fire Points Exchange Office. We'll equip the Tao Masters joining the battle with the most powerful Emperor weapons. We'll arm the strong ones with Chaos Emperor weapons so that they can fully unleash their power. We'll also reward each of them with 1 drop of Ancient God power. Chapter 1201, Preparing for the War. Chapter 1201, Preparing for the War. The participants will all be equipped with the strongest magic weapons and rewarded with a drop of Ancient God power? Jian Wushuang widened his eyes. Green Fire Palace was being generous indeed. It's easy to gather those magic weapons since there's an abundance in the Fire Points Exchange Office, but are there so many drops of the Ancient God power available? He asked in shock. After all the Tao Masters in the Green Fire World would be gathered for the war. It would be quite a stunning number. If each of them was rewarded with a drop of Ancient God power, they would need at least 10,000 or even hundreds of thousands of it. Even a single drop of the Ancient God power was invaluable in the eternal chaotic world. Did Green Fire Palace have so many? Samsara Temple Master and Void Temple Master looked at each other and smiled. To be honest, we accumulated many drops of Ancient God power. Void Temple Master smiled. Never mind 10,000, we can even afford hundreds of thousands of drops of it. Since they're precious, we typically don't use them. We've been saving them for such battles. Jian Wushuang gasped with surprise. Inside him, Gu King growled. How can they afford hundreds of thousands of drops of Ancient God power? It's difficult to form even a single drop. besides the ancient god clan in the eternal chaotic world, who can provide so many drops of the power. What on earth happened on this battlefield? Why are there so many drops of ancient god power here? Did plenty of ancient gods die here? Gu King was quite surprised and puzzled. Jian Wushuang sighed deeply. It was no wonder that Samsara Temple Master thought that Green Fire Palace stood a 10% chance of success. There were the High Realm experts in the Green Fire world, battle formations, the battle fortress, as well as the puppet fighter that can counter the monarch of the Jin Kingdom for a short time. Coupled that with all resources of Green Fire Palace, they did indeed stand a 10% of victory. We'll be helping our experts improve their battle strength at all costs. Then, it's up to them how they'll prepare for the war. Samsara Temple Master sighed. The Great War was imminent and Green Fire Palace would do its best to prepare for it. They would try and improve the battle strength of Green Fire World at all costs. Meanwhile, everyone in the Green Fire World was stunned after receiving the message from Samsara Temple Master and Void Temple Master. Every expert and faction in the Green Fire World began actively preparing for the war. Samsara Temple Master and Void Temple Master had made it clear how crucial this war was. This war would determine the destiny of the Green Fire World. If the Green Fire World collapsed, they would all die. There was no plan B in this war. This would be a desperate fight for survival. They had no choice but to risk their lives to strive for the survival of the Green Fire World. Over in Tang of the East in the Void Continent, the ruler of Tang was still Emperor Shao. He had immediately received Tang Emperor's command. Experts above the Dao Master level, be it the Mansion Masters of the 36 prefectures, experts of all clans, or solitary experts within Tang of the East, should settle their affairs and gather in Green Fire Palace in a year's time. Tang of the East, as the largest country in the Void Continent, boasted a vast territory. It took an enormous force to manage such a large country. Yet, Tang Emperor had demanded all experts over Dao Master level in the country to head to Green Fire Palace. Without Dao Masters playing deterrence in Tang of the East, the country would be a complete mess. This fact was clear to both Tang Emperor and Emperor Shao. Even so, Tang Emperor still gave his order. Emperor Shao also implemented it without hesitation. Hurry! Dao Masters, settle your affairs immediately and gather in the Imperial Palace in a year's time. Those who violate my order will be killed. Emperor Zhao's order was decisive. No one in the country dared to disobey him. Thus, all experts above the Dao Master level began to make their preparations. Within a year, they were all gathered in the Imperial Palace and left for Green Fire Palace under Emperor Zhao's leadership. The experts over the Dao Master level of the 4 top clans, Ancient Monster Clan, Blood Azura Clan, Python Clan, and Blood Phoenix Clan, were gathered in the Samsara continent. There were nearly 1,000 of them hovering in the air, led by the leaders of the 4 top clans. Some of the experts that had gone into seclusion were also present. The 266 Dao Masters and 3 Celestial Masters of our Ancient Monster Clan all here for the war. Celestial Master Ku Xian said in a booming voice. His eyes were cold and grim. The 241 Dao Masters and 4 Celestial Masters of our Blood Azura clan are all here. The voice of Upper Elder of the clan, Su Qian, reverberated in the air. He was also the teacher of Azura Lord, Su Ro. We're the Python clan. Aside from a Dao Master who has taken 100 of our young clansmen into seclusion, all experts over Dao Master level all here. The leader of Python clan said. The whole Blood Phoenix clan is here except for 1 Dao Master. The leader of Blood Phoenix clan said. The only distinction in this war is between the Green Fire World and the Jin Kingdom. Please bear that in mind. Ku Xian gave them a reminder. The 4 top clans had engaged in never-ending conflicts, be it in the open or in secret, and even got into killing battles. However, they were now thoroughly united. This was all for the Green Fire World. Go! With Ku Xian's order, the Celestial and Dao Masters of the 4 top clans immediately set off for Green Fire Palace. The solitary experts on the Green Fire world also received the message about the war. Inside a grand castle, 10 protectors kneeled in front of Empyrean Patriarch with reverence. I've always acted alone, away from anyone's influence or control. Green Fire Palace had repeatedly invited me, but I turned it all down. But I can't say no this time. When the Gene Kingdom experts arrive in 80 years, the entire Green Fire world will have to fight desperately or collapse forever. This is no other choice. This war will determine the survival of the Green Fire world as well as my own. No cultivator of the Green Fire world will be able to avoid fighting in this war. You've served under me for many years. Our chance of success is a mere 10%, but are you willing to go to Green Fire Palace with me? Empyrean Patriarch looked at the 10 protectors. We're willing to. The 10 protectors nodded as their loud voices resounded. Then let's go. Chapter 1202 Brothers Reunited. Chapter 1202 Brothers Reunited. No one could avoid this war, and neither would they want to. Within just 1 year, various Tao masters from different clans in the Green Fire world arrived at Green Fire Palace one after another. So many people. Floating above Green Fire Palace, Jian Wushuang was shocked when he looked down at the scene inside the palace. Within the perception range of his soul, he sensed that there were over 10,000 Tao masters here, and even more were on their way. There were also over 100 celestial masters here. Nearly all the powerful forces within the Green Fire world had gathered here. There are so many of them now, but how many would survive the war? Jian Wushuang asked. It'd be fortunate if 10% of them even survived the war. If we lose, the whole Green Fire world will be destroyed and everyone here is doomed to die. The lucky survivors will have to go to Eternal Chaotic World, Gu King replied. It's dangerous there with countless bandits running rampant. If they wander around, it would be hard for even 1 out of 10 Tao masters to survive. I estimate that only celestial masters would be lucky enough to survive. Jian Wushuang's expression became sober. He clenched his fists and said, "Either way, we cannot lose the war." Just then he spotted several familiar faces in the open space of Green Fire Palace. He immediately flew toward them. Soon he landed among the crowd. Uncle Xiao and Emperor Yun. He looked at the 2 men in front of him. Jian Wushuang. Emperor Xiao looked at him with a smile. Brother Wang Yuan, second brother, and fourth sister are here too. Jian Wushuang's eyes shone with joy when he saw Wang Yuan, Yang Zixuan, and Su Rou. Third brother. They greeted Jian Wushuang. We've gathered once again. Jian Wushuang was once again reunited with his 3 siblings. This was their first time gathering since Su Rou's departure in the ancient world. Jian Wushuang, Wang Yuan, and Yang Zixuan met often, but Jian Wushuang was the only one to have met Su Rou as she was in the Samsara continent. Now that all the experts in the Green Fire world were here, there was no separation between continents and clans. Naturally, they were able to reunite. Brother Wang Yuan, why have you come for the war? Jian Wushuang asked in confusion. Only experts over the Tao Master level were qualified to participate in the war. Yang Zixuan had improved by leaps and bounds to become at Tao Master's level in a short period of time. Furthermore, thanks to his powerful bloodline, his strength was close to rival Emperor Zhao's. Su Rou, Azura Lord of the Blood Azura clan, was a formidable opponent. In addition, thanks to her Azura Eye, she commanded control over many experts. She was easily one of the main forces of Green Fire Palace. Jian Wushuang sensed that Wang Yuan was still in the Eternal Realm, perhaps in the weak first or the second level. Unfortunately, Eternal Realm experts could bring nothing to the table in this war. Wang Yuan forced a smile. I didn't want to, but my master forced me to come here. Your master? Jian Wushuang was dumbfounded. Just then, a weathered elder dressed in a gray frock walked toward them at a leisurely pace. He humbly greeted them. Nice to meet you, Palace Master Wushuang. Jian Wushuang raised an eyebrow. Alchemy Master. This was alchemy master Huaqiong, Wang Yuan's master. He was also acknowledged as the top alchemist in the ancient world. Palace Master Wushuang, please call me Huaqiong. I can't bear the title of alchemy master in Green Fire Palace, Huaqiong said. Jian Wushuang blinked and stifled a laugh. Huaqiong was renowned as the top alchemist of the Green Fire world, but that was as far as his fame extended. There were countless monsters who had lived such long lives in Green Fire Palace. They had all made impressive contributions in refining elixirs, making formations, and forging weapons. In elixir refinement alone, there were at least 5 who were more proficient than Huaqiong. Huaqiong was well aware of this fact himself and thus requested to be addressed by name. Senior Huaqiong, Wang Yuan is still in the Eternal Realm. Why did you send him here? Jian Wushuang asked in astonishment. To be honest, I told him to come here not for the war but Dan Xen Palace. Huaqiong said. Dan Xen Palace? Jian Wushuang was stunned. Dan Xen Palace was the palace born on the battlefield, the one that triggered a ferocious war between Green Fire Palace and the Jin Kingdom. Huaqiong was also involved in the birth of Dan Xen Palace. But no matter how hard everyone struggled, no one could claim Dan Xen Palace. The battle was fought in vain. In the past few years, both Green Fire Palace and the Jin Kingdom had sent experts with outstanding achievements in elixir refinement to try, but no one succeeded. Just like that, Dan Xen Palace stood in silence on that battlefield. Senior Huaqiong, are you planning to take the test of Dan Xen Palace yourself or send brother Wang Yuan there? Jian Wushuang asked. There were many stronger alchemists who had failed. I myself know I'm not strong enough for it, but my disciple might be able to do it, Huaqiong said. Brother Wang Yuan? Jian Wushuang was even more puzzled. How could Wang Yuan succeed when Huaqiong and the other celestial masters who were good at refining elixirs had failed? Jian Wushuang was truly skeptical. Jian Wushuang, let him have a go at it. Maybe there's an opportunity waiting for him, Gu King said. Jian Wushuang was even more surprised. Gu King, do you also think that Wang Yuan will pass the test of Dan Xen Palace? I don't know about others, but I think that little fatty might stand a chance, Gu King joked. This little fatty is pretty interesting, isn't he? Interesting? Jian Wushuang was confused. Gu King snickered. He refined himself into an elixir. Isn't he interesting? What? He refined himself into an elixir? Jian Wushuang was aghast. What do you mean? His face became somber. Wang Yuan was his brother and one of few that he cared deeply about. Gu King continued to laugh. Take it easy. The little fatty will be fine. Chapter 1203, Celestial Elixir. Chapter 1203, Celestial Elixir. If I'm not mistaken, the little fatty has indeed refined himself into an elixir. In other words, he's an elixir himself, said Gu King with a slight smile. It is called the Celestial Elixir. Celestial Elixir? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. It's a peculiar and rare elixir. Its greatest feature is that it has a spiritual nature. Once it's refined, it can directly transform into a person and can even cultivate itself just like human beings. Basically, it's not much different from humans. Your brother is no different from your father, who is transformed from a sword spirit. Your father is the reincarnation of a sword spirit, while your brother is the reincarnation of a celestial elixir. He's a celestial elixir all along, but it's just that he has just metamorphosized now. Gu King laughed. I see. Jian Wushuang was still in shock. Being an elixir itself, a celestial elixir has the blessed gift of refining elixirs. Given abundant resources and provided proper conditions, he can certainly be a top alchemist in the future. Gu King added. But few celestial elixirs can be top alchemists in the eternal chaotic world. One reason is that they lack both the conditions and resources for cultivation. The other is that many cultivators covet these extraordinary celestial elixirs. If experts in the eternal chaotic world have one, their strength will improve significantly. So, once found, a celestial elixir will probably be eaten alive by powerful cultivators. Eaten alive? Jian Wushuang was shocked. Look how scared the little fatty is. He's clearly worried that someone in Green Fire Palace will find out about his identity and swallowed him. Gu King jested. Jian Wushuang looked at Wang Yuan and saw that the latter indeed looked unhappy to be here. His eyes were full of anxiety. I did not expect his origin to be so special. Jian Wushuang's expression was strange and complex. Senior Huaqiong, I'll personally escort Brother Wang Yuan to Dan Xan Palace, he said. Thank you. Huaqiong smiled. It's my pleasure. Wang Yuan is my brother. If he can claim Dan Xan Palace, it's great news for the Green Fire world. Jian Wushuang smiled. He then sent a message to Samsara Temple Master before setting off. Let's go, Brother Wang Yuan. Third brother, do take care of me now that you enjoy a high reputation of a palace master, Wang Yuan said unhappily. Rest assured that no one will hurt you as long as I'm here. Jian Wushuang smiled. Celestial elixir could really bring immeasurable benefits to cultivators. But it had no effect on the war. Besides, Wang Yuan was his brother. He would never allow harm to come to Wang Yuan. He left with Wang Yuan at once. Green Fire Palace was pretty far from Dan Xan Palace. It took them more than 10 years to get there. That is Dan Xan Palace. Go on and enter. Jian Wushuang pointed at the golden palace floating in front of them. The golden majestic palace had been floating there since it came into being. Though both sides had sent experts who had made notable achievement in elixir refinement to claim Dan Xan Palace in the past few years, no one succeeded. Wang Yuan raised his head to look at the palace. He swallowed uneasily before walking slowly toward it. The door to the palace swung open when Wang Yuan neared and a chubby, bald elder stepped out. The elder had a pair of small, mouse-like eyes. He was Dan Xan, the spirit of the similarly named palace. Eternal realm. The elder looked at Wang Yuan with contempt. In a scornful voice, he said, You dare claim Dan Xan Palace when you're just an eternal realm expert? Do you want to die? Wang Yuan froze for a moment, but he could tell that the bald elder was just spirit. Undeterred, he replied, You said one's cultivation has to be less than 500,000 years and one has to have some achievements in elixir refinement. You didn't say anything about realms. Well, you're not wrong that there's no realm limitation. You're free to try, but the same rule applies. Dig up 1,000,000 pounds of black iron and then we'll talk, the elder said with a face full of smiles. 1,000,000 pounds? Wang Yuan was shocked. Behind him, Jian Wushuang's face darkened. Dan Xan, the war between Green Fire Palace and the Jin Kingdom is looming. I don't have the patience to play with you. I give you two choices, either let my brother in and begin the test or I'll kill you right now. Even if I can't kill you, I'll suppress you so you'll never see the light of day. You can try me if you think it's a joke. Jian Wushuang looked cold. The Jin Kingdom and Green Fire Palace both coveted Dan Xan Palace, which was why they left it here. However, they had such a small chance of victory in the war. Their loss would spell the destruction of the Green Fire world. Put it this way, Dan Xan Palace was useless. He had every reason to destroy the palace lest the Jin Kingdom got its hand on it. The elder immediately turned to look at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang. The bald elder narrowed his eyes because he recognized Jian Wushuang. In the Battle of Dan Xan Palace, Jian Wushuang's performance was outstanding. In fact, he even bantered with Jian Wushuang. He frowned, knowing that Jian Wushuang was not joking around. Well, if you don't want to play with me, so be it. Come right in, young man, the elder said. Wang Yuan took a deep breath and entered Dan Xan Palace without hesitation. The doors closed after Wang Yuan. Surprisingly, the bald elder walked toward Jian Wushuang. He stopped right in front of Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, you said Green Fire Palace is going to war with the Jin Kingdom? Tell me more, the elder said. The elder had lived a long and lonely life. Now there was someone to talk. He definitely would not let Jian Wushuang go. Jian Wushuang merely spared him a glance with his cold eyes and nothing more. To him, the bald elder was just an old madman and freak that he did not want to bother with. Chapter 1204, A Big Surprise. Chapter 1204, A Big Surprise. Jian Wushuang waited in silence outside Dan Xan Palace, but he did not have to wait long. In just half an hour, a powerful aura burst forth from the palace. The entire palace started shaking violently. What? The bald elder was startled. Did he succeed? Jian Wushuang's eyes gleamed with delight. Celestial elixir. That young man is a celestial elixir. The bald elder's eyes widened in shock. In an instant, he flew into the palace. Jian Wushuang continued to wait until Wang Yuan came out. Wang Yuan waved his hand and the Grand Dan Xen Palace immediately began to shrink. He then put it away in his body. Wang Yuan then walked over to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang smiled at him. Congratulations, brother Wang Yuan. It's all luck. Wang Yuan returned his smile and then handed him an interspatial ring. What's this? Jian Wushuang looked at the interspatial ring in confusion. These are elixirs that I got after claiming Dan Xen Palace, Wang Yuan replied. The test was something that the former owner of the palace left behind. Though I've passed the test, I could only obtain the elixirs on the first floor of the palace. The first floor? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. There are 4 floors inside. The higher the floor, the more precious the elixirs are. These elixirs are the ones with the purest quality, but I think they'll be a lot of help to Green Fire Palace, Wang Yuan said. Jian Wushuang immediately took the interspatial ring and scanned it with his soul power. He was surprised and happy. He was utterly stunned. Life elixirs. There are so many of them. The interspatial ring was filled with elixirs and most of them were life elixirs. There were thousands of them inside. Life elixirs could help a Tao master become a celestial master. 1 pellet of life elixir could help foster a celestial master. Now, there were hundreds of them here. When Dan Xen Palace was born, the spirit of Dan Xen Palace intentionally threw out numerous life elixirs to attract experts. I knew then that there must be many more inside the palace, but I didn't expect there to be still so many. Jian Wushuang's body shook with excitement. Besides life elixirs, there were nirvana elixirs of a higher level. Nirvana elixirs could help foster universe masters, and there were dozens of them inside the interspatial ring. Back then, Green Fire Palace and the Gene Kingdom had gone mad fighting over 6 nirvana elixirs. Many celestial masters had sacrificed their lives in that fight. The number of other elixirs was also terrifying. The recovery elixirs were also particularly useful. Together, all these elixirs were invaluable. This is great. Jian Wushuang tightly clenched his hands. The main force of the Gene Kingdom is coming. The battle strength of our high-level experts is far weaker than that of the Gene Kingdom. With these elixirs, we'll be able to produce thousands of celestial masters and even dozens of universe masters. What a great surprise! Surprise! It was undoubtedly a big surprise. Brother Wang Yuan, thanks a lot. Jian Wushuang said in a solemn voice as he looked gratefully at Wang Yuan. He expressed his thanks on behalf of Green Fire Palace and the entire Green Fire world. We're brothers. There's no need to say thanks. Besides, I'm also a member of the Green Fire world. It's just that I'm too weak to fight with you, so this is all I can do, Wang Yuan replied. No one in Green Fire Palace can match you in what you have done, Jian Wushuang said. Let's return immediately. All right. Wang Yuan nodded. Having obtained numerous elixirs from his brother, Jian Wushuang immediately returned to Green Fire Palace. Once he returned to Green Fire Palace, he immediately summoned the other 5 palace masters. The original bodies of these 5 palace masters were now back in Green Fire Palace, including Tang Emperor, Sunrise Sword Emperor, and Red Lotus, who had left to clean out the base of Gene Kingdom. They had destroyed as much of the foundation of the Gene Kingdom as possible. Inside a magnificent temple. Jiang Wushuang, why did you summon us so urgently? Void Temple Master asked in confusion. Of course, it's something important. It's also a great thing. Jian Wushuang looked at the 5 palace masters in front of him with a smile before taking out the interspatial ring that Wang Yuan gave him. Take a look. They promptly saw what was inside of the interspatial ring with their consciousness. Their eyes widened. That many elixirs? Samsara Temple Master could not help feeling shocked. More than thousands of life elixirs and dozens of nirvana elixirs. Void Temple Master was equally as astonished. Jian Wushuang. Tang Emperor stared at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang gave a slight smile. This interspatial ring isn't mine. Brother Wang Yuan obtained it from Dan Xen Palace. Dan Xen Palace? You told us that you'd be escorting someone to take the rest. Was it your brother? Samsara Temple Master asked. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. He's not very strong, but he's highly talented in refining elixirs. He succeeded in claiming Dan Xen Palace even though so many failed. Unfortunately, the limitations placed by the original owner of the palace meant that he could only obtain the first-level elixirs. They're all here. This is such great news. Samsara Temple Master was extremely delighted. Jian Wushuang, your brother has done a great service to our green fire world. Void Temple Master added. Yes, a great service indeed. It's so much greater than ours. Tang Emperor, Sunrise Sword Emperor, and Red Lotus were also thrilled. These elixirs would significantly promote the battle strength of high-level masters in the green fire world. This would give them so much more leverage in the war against the Jin Kingdom. We also got some life elixirs and several nirvana elixirs in the fight over Dan Xen Palace. I've been pondering about how to distribute them. After all, there are many who could use them to elevate their strength, but the elixirs are limited. If we don't distribute them well, it would inevitably result in grudges. That problem is now solved. Samsara Temple Master laughed. With so many elixirs, almost every Dao Master who is certain to make breakthroughs can get one. Chapter 1205, Stage 2. Chapter 1205, Stage 2. If each God Soul elixir can foster a holy master, our green fire world will definitely have more than 1,000 holy masters. Samsara Temple Master exclaimed and clenched his fists in excitement. Besides, we also have the nirvana elixirs. A nirvana elixir pill can foster a universe master. In the previous battle, we were only able to acquire 4 such elixir pills, which was not enough for us. Fortunately, now that we have several dozen nirvana elixir pills, every holy master at exceptional realm in our green fire world can have one. We can then give the remaining pills to other high-level experts with great potential. In doing so, we'll probably have 10 more universe masters in our green fire world in the near future. The Samsara Temple Master's words thrilled everyone present. More than 1,000 holy masters and 10 more universe masters. If green fire world has this kind of battle strength, they might have 20% or even 30% of winning, compared to just 10% before. A 30% chance of winning is much more optimistic. Void and Tang Emperor, I will leave the distribution of these pills up to your discretion. The Samsara Temple Master said. No problem. The Void Temple Master and the Tang Emperor nodded their heads. Sunrise and Red Lotus, you will be responsible for teaching the formations and making sure that each expert in our green fire world has mastered the military tactics for when the war comes. The Samsara Temple Master said again. With pleasure, the Sunrise Sword Emperor and Red Lotus said with confidence. Their job was simply to teach the tactical formations. The ones would be fighting in the war would be Dao Masters and experts at the highest levels. As Dao Masters, it would not be difficult for them to master tactical formations. As for you, Jian Wushuang, 20 years have passed already, and we only have 80 left. During the remaining time, you just need to focus on increasing your strength. If you need treasures, you can go to Fire Point Exchange Office directly. If what you need isn't there, tell me and I'll collect it for you. The Samsara Temple Master looked at Jian Wushuang seriously. You're the strongest expert in the green fire world now. No one within the green fire world can compete with your strength. In the coming war, your strength will play a great role in the future of the green fire world. Therefore, the only thing you need to do now is focus on increasing your power. I know. Jian Wushuang nodded his head slightly. After a moment's thought, he continued, I already have enough treasures to improve my battle strength. What I really need now is some ancient god power as much as possible. Ancient god power? The Samsara Temple Master lifted his eyebrows, saying with a smile on his face, there's some remaining ancient god power in my green fire palace. How much do you need? Not too much, maybe around 2,000 drops. Jian Wushuang said. I can give you 3,000 drops. You as much as you would like. Samsara Temple Master said. Jian Wushuang nodded. Ancient god power would indeed play an important role in his plans. After all, he was an ancient god himself, a 4-star ancient god of imperial kinsmen. Ancient god power contained the pure strength of an ancient god, which Jian Wushuang could absorb completely. However, he had tried to improve his strength with only a few drops before, which had little effect on his performance. Now, with even more ancient god power, perhaps consuming all of it at once would succeed in increasing his power by a significant amount. As a 4-star ancient god of imperial kinsmen, so he could reach the 4-star peak realm shortly after absorbing a large amount of ancient god power. Only after reaching the peak realm of ancient god, could he try to activate the stage 2 power of the blood-killing plate armor, as well as promote his own strength. The stage 1 power had increased his battle strength by 10 times, so he believed that once activated, the stage 2 power could improve his strength even more drastically. Without much delay, the Samsara Temple Master personally delivered the 3,000 drops of ancient god power he had promised. Alone in a secret chamber, Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged with drops of ancient god power floating in front of him. Let's begin. Jian Wushuang gazed fixed onto a drop of power as he lead it into his body. In less than 15 minutes, he had absorbed the entire drop. When the drop had completely melded with his body, Jian Wushuang could feel that his power had increased slightly. There's only 50 years left before the main force of Jin Kingdom is arriving. I must reach the peak realm of 4 stars during these years. Jian Wushuang held his hands tightly and fierce gaze fell across his face. Keep going. Jian Wushuang continued to cultivate alone in this secret chamber as he had been for many years. In the Green Fire Palace, the experts coming from all over the world were preparing for the final war. All Dao Masters who were extremely powerful and had a large chance of achieving a breakthrough into Holy Master received a gold soul elixir. With the aid of the elixir, they all ascended to the status of Holy Master. Only a few of the Holy Masters also received Nirvana elixirs. At the same time, the Sunrise Sword Emperor and Red Lotus were focusing on training all the experts to master their tactical formations, trying their best to make the experts cooperate in a harmonious way. Everyone was actively preparing for the coming war. The 50 years sped by until there was only 1 year left before the Jin Kingdom's arrival. In the secret chamber, under the careful control of Jian Wushuang, another drop of ancient god power was absorbed into his body. It was the 1796th drop. As its power spread through his body, Jian Wushuang started to tremble slightly. After a while, his body shook violently for a second and a strong aura spread around him. Peak realm of 4 stars. Jian Wushuang blinked with astonishment in his eyes. He had reached the 4-star ancient god 1,500 years before. After consuming 1,796 drops of ancient god power, he finally reached the peak realm. Then, he started to activate the stage 2 power of blood-killing plate armor. Surely, I can also activate the stage 2 power of my armor. Jian Wushuang was excited. When he had become a Dao Master and his ancient god power had reached the 4-star level, he found that he could not activate the stage 2 power of blood-killing plate armor. But now that he was at the peak realm of 4 stars, he might have just enough strength to activate it. Jian Wushuang, as he activated the second stage, power surged through him. Since the first stage of power increased my strength by 10 times, Will this stage increase it by 20 times? Chapter 1206, The Arrival. Chapter 1206, The Arrival. More than 20 palace masters of the Green Fire Palace gathered in a splendid hall within the palace. 80 years. During the 80-year preparation for war, the force of the Green Fire world had greatly improved with the help of Nirvana elixirs and God's Soul elixirs. The greatest change was the increased number of high-level experts. 80 years ago, there had been only 6 palace masters with the battle strength of a universe master, including Jian Wushuang, in the Green Fire Palace. Now there were 21 palace masters in the Green Fire Palace. They had also managed to foster 15 universe masters during the short 80 years. At this moment, all of the universe masters, including Holy Master Yun, were looking at the scene at the center of the palace. At the center of the palace, the portal that had been there was still present, but the spaceship moving through it had come considerably closer. Under the anxious gaze of the experts, the spaceship finally broke through the portal and landed only the vast battlefield. It's here. It's finally here. The Samsara Temple Master clasped his hands together. The war to decide fate of our Green Fire world is finally here. The Void Temple Master ground his teeth together in anticipation. We have been waiting for this moment for so long. The Tang Emperor's eyes were full of cold resolve. 80 years ago, when they first received information of the coming war, the Green Fire Palace was full of panic, and even the palace masters were shocked. Things were different now. With 80 years of preparation and the help of all the elixirs they had obtained, the extent of the Green Fire world's power had grown greatly, and they renewed confidence in their ability to win the war. Now, some were even looking forward to the war itself. Everyone, settle down as we wait for the Jin Kindgom, the Sunrise Sword Emperor said with a serious tone. We must all fight bravely in this war, the Samsara Temple Master boomed. One by one, the palace master's eyes flashed with determination. Suddenly, an expansive battlefield appeared within the void. The ancient spaceship soared across several planes with terrifying speed, screeching to a halt at the mouth of a secret canyon. Whoosh! The shadow of a figure flashed within a cave, deep inside the canyon. Red Snow welcomes my lord. The Red Snow King knelt in front of the spaceship respectfully. Quickly, the shield surrounding the ship was unlocked and the Red Snow King stood to enter it. At the center of the spaceship was a magnificent hall. The handsome monarch of the Jin Kingdom wore a luxurious golden robe and looked down at the Red Snow King kneeling in front of him. 5 million years ago, I ordered you launch a sneak attack against our enemy. Unfortunately, your unit was sucked into the space storm and disappeared. This loss was a huge blow to the Jin Kingdom. The monarch said coldly. Hearing the tone of his sovereign's voice, the Red Snow King trembled. I would have executed you for your mistakes, but luckily for you, you found this hidden base after being drawn into the snow storm, which has contributed to the growth of the Jin Kingdom. Your merits offset your faults, but only by a little. I will not blame you for your actions anymore, so get up, declared the monarch. Thank you for your mercy, my lord. The Red Snow King quickly struggled to his feet, relieved. How is the fight going? The monarch of the Jin Kingdom asked. Since our base near this battlefield was destroyed by the Green Fire Palace, the palace masters have continued to search for other bases from the Jin Kingdom and have occupied them one by one. Almost all of our remaining experts have been killed by them already, and as of now, the force that we have at this battlefield is extremely weak, the residential Snow King answered. And what of Jian Wushuang? Did he manage to achieve a breakthrough during these 80 years? The monarch of the Jin Kingdom asked. The monarch of the Jin Kingdom didn't care about the loss of their camps or the growing the number of Green Fire experts at all. He only cared about Jian Wushuang. He was the only one who could pose an actual threat to his life. Jian Wushuang, the Red Snow King, was silent for a while. He shook his head and said, according to my spy in the Green Fire world, the Green Fire Palace has been preparing for this war for the past 80 years. As for any information on Jian Wushuang, he stays within the Green Fire Palace at all times, so I don't know if he has broken through. Jian Wushuang does have great talent in cultivation, and is even considered by many to be a monster. However, since he just had a breakthrough 80 years ago, I highly doubt that his strength has improved by much. Is that so? The monarch of the Jin Kingdom lifted his eyebrow and waved his hand carelessly, saying, "Let's go, we will send a greeting to the Green Fire Palace." Following his order, the spaceship barreled toward the Green Fire Palace at an extraordinary speed. The spaceship's level was even higher than Jian Wushuang's, and any normal dangers that existed were easily avoided as they sped across the battlefield. Even the more dangerous areas were avoided with the help of the Red Snow King. A few days later, the ancient spaceship landed in front of the Green Fire Palace. They were about 10 miles away from the palace itself. "My lord, the Green Fire Palace is located just ahead." The Red Snow King pointed in the direction of the palace and continued, "It's a huge battle fortress, but has been greatly damaged by our attack 5 million years ago. It can now only activate a few of its former tactics." Having said this, the palace and its power as a battle fortress was the only reason why I did not achieve victory in our last attack. Battle fortress. The monarch of the Jin Kingdom sneered and said, "I suppose it is still valuable to them even with all of the damages. But there is nothing to worry about, I have also prepared, and I have ways to deal with the fortress." Lord Jin Feng. A calm and beautiful woman sitting by a table looked at the monarch and said, "Are you going to use your weapon to destroy the fortress?" "There's no need to rush into things." The monarch of the Jin Kingdom dismissed her query with a flick of a hand and continued, "I have spent 5 million years preparing for this battle. It won't be fun for anyone if I just destroy the Green Fire Palace. I want to play a game with them first." Longshu. The monarch's voice boomed. Chapter 1207 Challenge. Chapter 1207 Challenge. A massive figure, nearly 3 meters in height, entered the hall. He wore a shining scarlet armor, a scarlet helmet and a pair of war boots, and carried a blood-red saber on his back. This was a killing machine. The murderous aura that surrounded him was so strong that one could almost see a glint of red in his eyes. "My lord." The figure bowed to the monarch of the Jin Kingdom. "I know that you've been looking for an opponent who could match your skills for a while. I've found such an opponent for you, right there within the battle fortress. His name is Jian Wushuang." The monarch challenged. "Jian Wushuang?" The scarlet figure raised his head and asked, "Does he have the invincible universe master battle strength?" "Undoubtedly." The monarch nodded his head. "Amazing." The scarlet figure in a dangerous tone, anticipation flickering in his eyes. "Go. Kill him as soon as you have the chance to." The monarch ordered. "Yes, my lord." The scarlet figure nodded his head and turned to leave. After the scarlet figure was gone, the monarch of the Jin Kingdom continued, "Red Snow, you can leave. I will give you your orders later." "Yes, my lord." The Red Snow King left immediately. In the Green Fire Palace, the massive battle fortress was activated, with numerous shields blanketing the palace. It was as solid as an iron bucket. Meanwhile, the experts staying at the battle fortress of the Green Fire world had already taken notice of the spaceship's arrival. That is the warship of the Jin Kingdom. The experts of the Green Fire world were stared at the ship with anger and determination in their cold faces. The war was about to start. The palace masters gathered right at the center of the void within the Green Fire Palace. The Samsara Temple Master looked around and said, "The Jin Kingdom has sent spies in our Green Fire world, so they must know we have gathered all the experts who have passed the rank of Tao Master. However, they might not know that we took elixirs from the Loyalty Palace that have greatly elevated the battle strength of our high-level cultivators. Now, the Jin Kingdom must think that our battle strength is about the same as before. They might think we only have 6 palace masters and around 200 holy masters. We can use this chance to surprise the Jin Kingdom with a heavy blow." "Yes, we can," Jian Wushuang and the others all agreed. The fact that the Jin Kingdom's understanding of them hadn't grown in 80 years was a huge advantage to them. "The main force of the Jin Kingdom has arrived. But we have no clue as to when they will launch their attack, the Samsara Temple Master said. We don't have to worry about when they start their attack, we are already prepared, the Void Temple Master said seriously. The Palace Masters around nodded their heads. After 80 years, Green Fire World at present was well prepared. Suddenly, a scarlet streak flew towards them from the direction of the spaceship. Someone is coming, Red Lotus said. All the other Palace Master looked in the direction of the ship. They only sent one person? What is he going to do? Shock filled the faces of the Palace Masters. The red figure halted 10,000 miles away from the fortress. The scarlet figure looked toward the battle fortress with blood and anger in his eyes, but no matter how he tried, he could not see who was inside the battle fortress due to the protections around it. But then his horrible voice echoed out and spread across the vast distance. I am the first general of the monarch of the Jin Kingdom, Long Su King. Jian Wushuang, do you dare to battle with me in a fight to the finish? His challenge spread through the fortress, surprising all the experts inside. Is he challenging someone? He came alone. Did he challenge Palace Master Wushuang? Palace Master Wushuang is the most powerful man in the Green Fire World. This man is just asking to die. Voices filled the battle fortress, and most of the Dao Masters around the edge of the palace were clumped together to discuss the sudden appearance of the lone scarlet figure, Long Su King. In the gathering of Palace Masters at the Void, animosity toward the Long Su King was written clearly across their faces. He dares to challenge Jian Wushuang. The Samsara Temple Master frowned slightly and said, Jian Wushuang is the best expert of our Green Fire Palace and widely recognized as a prodigy. He could be considered the backbone of our Green Fire World. But even before the war has started, the monarch of the Jin Kingdom dares to issue a challenge to him? The Jin Kingdom monarch seems to have a plan. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. He and the other experts sensed a motive behind the monarch's actions. The challenge from the Long Su King seemed normal at first, but there was definitely more to it. After all, he was challenging Jian Wushuang, the spiritual backbone of the Green Fire World. If he failed in this challenge, their morale would suffer a heavy blow. If the best cultivator on their side couldn't beat a lowly general from the Jin Kingdom, what damage could the Dao Masters or even the Holy Masters do? During the 80 years, the Samsara Temple Master had tried his best to build their confidence, but he worried that this one challenge might destroy all his efforts. And even if Jian Wushuang managed to beat the general, the outcome wouldn't have a negative effect on the Jin Kingdom's morale. Their monarch was even more powerful than this general that they had sent. Their strength is far superior to ours, but the Jin monarch is still choosing to attack us in stages to harm our morale. What a prudent man! Temple Master Void said. It said that the Long Su King is the best general under the monarch, and he can even compete with the Red Snow King. Judging by this, he is almost unbeatable. Jian Wushuang, will you accept his challenge? The Samsara Temple Master asked of Jian Wushuang. The other palace masters around also looked to him. Jian Wushuang thought for a moment and nodded his head. I will accept. You will? The Samsara Temple Master was a little bit shocked. Our enemy has come to our territory to issue a challenge. If I don't face him, our morale will be greatly influenced, so I have no choice but to fight him. Jian Wushuang said resolutely. Are you sure you can win? The Samsara Temple Master frowned. Win? Jian Wushuang smiled. Of course. Chapter 1208 Long Su King. Chapter 1208 Long Su King. Are you sure? The eyes of Samsara Temple Master and the Palace Masters around shone immediately. Guys, I just go ahead. Jian Wushuang clasped his hands together toward these Palace Masters. I will order everyone to get ready for the battle. As for that Long Su King, we are waiting for your good news. Samsara Temple Master said seriously. Jian Wushuang nodded his head. Then, quick as a flash, he moved toward the void where Long Su King was located. Passing through the restrictions above the battle fortress, Jian Wushuang showed up in front of Long Su King after a short while. His appearance caused an uproar in the cultivators inside the battle fortress. It's Palace Master Wushuang. Palace Master Wushuang accepts the challenge. Let's see how miserable that Long Su King will be. Numerous Dao masters started to expect what would happen next. In the void. Long Su King? Jian Wushuang said in a cold voice. He was shocked when getting close to Long Su King. His killing intent is so horrible. He doesn't seem like a human, but more like a killing machine. Jian Wushuang thought. Wave after wave of coldness surged out of Long Su King's eyes as Jian Wushuang showed up. You are that Jian Wushuang? Just a Dao master? Long Su King asked in a cold tone. Yes, you're right. But it's sufficient to kill you with my strength. Jian Wushuang said. How arrogant you are. Long Su King sneered and said, I have followed my monarch to go to wars for nearly 10 million years and have killed uncountable universe masters. I have even encountered 3 invincible universe masters during these years. And I fought all of them face to face. I won every battle and have even directly killed 2 of them. You, however, are the 4th expert that I've encountered who possesses the battle strength of an invincible universe master. Show me all your strength, or else you will follow in the footsteps of the other 2 invincible universe masters. Long Su King stressed every word. His voice reverberated throughout this space and even traveled to the battle fortress. The expressions of the experts in the battle fortress changed as they heard those words. Long Su King is an invincible universe master as expected. Tang Emperor said coldly. Besides, he must be one of the strongest invincible universe masters. If what he has just said is true, his strength must be quite terrifying. I wonder whether Jian Wushuang could fight him head-on. Samsara Temple Master had a worried look on his face. The other palace masters also felt oppressed. If Jian Wushuang failed in this challenge, the morale of the experts in the Green Fire world must degenerate greatly. In the battle fortress, many experts of the Green Fire world became quiet. Jian Wushuang. My 3rd brother. Emperor Shao, Emperor Yun, and Jian Wushuang's 3 good brothers all gathered there, clenching their fists tightly and staring at that void. My junior brother. Jian Wushuang's 3 senior brothers, Xueling Tian, Purple Mountain, and Bai, who also stayed at a corner of the battle fortress. They were all Dao masters, so they naturally joined the Green Fire Palace. Over the past 80 years, they had several reunions with Jian Wushuang indeed. And another 3 figures stood not far away from them. They were the sect masters of the Firmament Territory's 3 magnates. The 3 sect masters had come into contact with Jian Wushuang. Back then, Jian Wushuang lived in the Firmament Territory and he was merely a little boy in their eyes. They had not expected to see him becoming an expert who they should look upon after thousands of years. Though plenty of high-level experts of the Green Fire world gathered in this battle fortress presently, Jian Wushuang was their real spiritual backbone. How about these 3 sect masters? They were just normal soldiers in this war. As a result, they could not help sighing for being fooled by the fate. At another corner, Empyrean Patriarch stood there and had mixed feeling as he looked at the figure at the end of his line of sight. Jian Wushuang, you have killed my son and are my sworn enemy. I wish to peel off your skin and drink your blood. However, today's war determines the life and death of the Green Fire world. I hope you could win. Win. You have to win. Palace Master Wushuang, you must win. Numerous experts of the Green Fire world shouted in their minds. In that void, Jian Wushuang's expression was peaceful, but he could not relax his vigilance for any moment. His eyes rolled slightly and glanced at the battle fortress behind him. It seemed that he could see the expectant faces of many cultivators through the restrictions. He took a deep breath and lifted his head again. There was a touch of firmness in his eyes that had never been seen before. I must win this challenge, and it has to be a nice victory. Let's fight. Jian Wushuang screamed out and the Blood Mountain sword appeared in his hand. Ah! Even my monarch appreciates your supper talent, so come and let me see what are you capable of. Long Su King burst into laughter. Then he took a huge step forward. The void under his feet immediately turned into powder as he unsheathed the blood-red saber on his back. Blood Shadow Dao. Long Su King's thunderous shout shook the heaven and earth. The blood-red saber in his hand transferred into a horrible, blood-red blood shadow. It seemed to have come from the hell and could destroy everything into ashes. Boom! The heaven and earth turned dark. With unstoppable killing intent, the blood shadow locked Jian Wushuang up completely. A unique skill? Jian Wushuang was a little bit shocked. Long Su King unleashed a unique skill for his first attack, and its power was absolutely out of the ordinary. Humph! Jian Wushuang snorted and also stepped forward. At the same time, he held his blood mountain sword up high. The whole heaven and earth became totally dark. Darkness and quietness reigned this area. Suddenly, a flash of sword light shone. It was so dazzling that it seemed like the dawn light. It was another unique skill, the dawn light. Jian Wushuang directly swung his blade at his foe. One unique skill was facing the other. A flash of sword light and a blood shadow collapsed fiercely. The impact of this collision could be compared with the clash of two fixed stars. Bomb! A booming sound resounded throughout this area, as if the heaven and earth cracked. At the center of the collision, space was totally torn into pieces like scraps of papers, spreading around 100 miles away immediately. The effective range of this collision got involved in a space storm. The space storm contained a horrible shearing force, which could easily tear down masters or even celestial masters into dust. Chapter 1209, Do the Best. Chapter 1209, Do the Best. Silence. The whole battle fortress fell into silence. Everyone looked at what had happened in front of them with horrified expressions on their faces, and they felt scared about the space storm which had spread over tens of thousands of miles far. Too strong, they are too strong. Many cultivators felt their throats getting dry. Except for Samsara Temple Master, Void Temple Master, and a few high-level experts, even those palace masters who had newly become universe masters with the help of the Nirvana elixirs felt frightened and panic. Although they were universe masters just like the two combatants, either Jian Wushuang or Long Su King was far more powerful than any of them. No, Jian Wushuang is at a disadvantage, Samsara Temple Master said as his pupils contracted. The other palace masters concentrated their attention on the battle as well. As expected, when the two unique skills were unleashed in a head-to-head battle, Jian Wushuang was obviously the underdog. He rolled backward under the attack of the blood shadow. Let's continue. Long Su King's crazy laugh resounded through the space. Although he was affected by the impact of the clash, he just stopped for a short while before launching another attack again. However, Jian Wushuang was still retreating. Before he regained his balance again, Long Su King had arrived in front of him. Blood Mountain Dao. Long Su King screamed and his figure descended from the sky like an eagle. He brandished his blood-red saber again. This strike was of great momentum. His saber turned into a huge blood-red mountain that came crushing down upon Jian Wushuang with great strength and horrible pressure. Under the pressure of the saber shadow, Jian Wushuang felt that all of his bones were going to be crushed. Is it another unique skill? Jian Wushuang was shocked. Long Su King indeed had incredibly powerful strength given that he had defeated 3 invincible universe masters before. Surprisingly, he was even able to create 2 unique skills by himself. Humph! Jian Wushuang snorted. Since he had not stood firmly, he did not have enough time to use his dawn light to resist his opponent's attack. The only thing he could do was to hold his blood mountain sword up high. Clang! A muffled sound rang out as an overwhelming and mighty power came crushing down upon Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's body shook and he let out a muffled voice. Then he fell to the ground like a falling stone. Bomb! There was a huge sinkhole with a 1,000-mile radius appeared on the ground where Jian Wushuang's body landed. It was bottomless and was at least hundreds of feet deep. The expressions of the Green Fire World experts in the battle fortress changed as they saw the scene. Long Su King was still quietly floating in the void above the fortress, looking down the hole below. "Trash!" he shouted in a cold voice. "My monarch said you're a genius. Now, however, you're nothing in my eyes. You've barely risen into the invincible universe master level. As such, you're much weaker than the 3 invincible universe masters I've met before. I was thinking that you should be a good opponent. Jian Wushuang, you totally fail me." Long Su King's ironic words echoed around the space. Upon hearing his words, the faces of the experts from the Green Fire World turned pale. Right at this moment, bang! Suddenly, a horrible blast of sword essence burst out from the bottom of that sinkhole. A figure flew out directly and showed up in front of Long Su King again. With a blob of blood left on the corner of his mouth, Jian Wushuang was in a sorry fashion. However, his aura had not weakened. "Long Su King," Jian Wushuang said while looking at him. "Huh." Long Su King looked indifferent. "It seems that I have thought too much of you. You have unleashed all your skills, haven't you?" Jian Wushuang shook his head and sighed. "What?" Long Su King's eyes looked cold. Just now, he considered Jian Wushuang as a trash who had failed him. Now, however, Jian Wushuang satirized his strength on the contrary. "Boy, can you only win by your words?" Long Su King snorted. "Huh." Jian Wushuang laughed and continued, "You'll know that soon enough." When he was speaking, the power of the Blood Mountain sword he held enhanced a little bit. "Jian Wushuang, you finally intend to go to any length?" Gu King's voice suddenly sounded. "Of course." Jian Wushuang smiled and answered, "I need to win this challenge in a smooth and neat way. By this, the morale of the experts in our Green Fire World can skyrocket again. But I didn't know Long Su King's true strength before. Therefore, it was too difficult for me to defeat him decently. Now, however, I have figured out what he is capable of. Thus, it's time for me to show him my true strength." Jiang Wushuang was chatting with Gu King in his mind, but his eyes turned extremely cold. "Kill!" Jian Wushuang shouted and dashed outward. "Ridiculous! I'll see what you can do." Long Su King's eyes turned grim and he moved forward swiftly as well. Right at the moment when he was about to crash into Jian Wushuang, he brandished his blood-red saber again. Blood Fire Dao. The blade light landed as blood-red flames covered the whole sky. For a second, the void with a 1 miles radius turned into a sea of fire. Long Su King, however, was the dominator of the sea of fire. Is it still a unique skill? Jian Wushuang lifted his eyebrows. Long Su King had displayed 2 unique skills before, and now he unleashed the 3rd one. It was really awesome for a universe master to create 3 unique skills. No matter how many unique skills you have created, they are of the same power. Jian Wushuang sneered and lifted the Blood Mountain sword. The whole area fell into darkness once again. As expected, it was also the dawn light. When he saw the scene, a touch of disdain flashed through Long Su King's eyes. He had experienced this blow just now. Though it was an authentic unique skill, its power was really ordinary. Each one of the 3 unique skills he had created could outclass Jian Wushuang's in terms of power. The same person employs the same swordsmanship will lead the same result. Long Su King shouted. The raging blood-red fire suddenly formed into a huge wave, rolling toward Jian Wushuang madly. Unexpectedly, Jian Wushuang's mouth twisted in a contemptuous sneer. When he activated the Dawn Light swordsmanship, the abundant ancient god power inside his body was totally unleashed. Jian Wushuang activated the 4-star ancient god power with the aid of his spiritual power. The most important was that he aroused the power of Stage 2 blood-killing plate armor at the same time. Of course, when fighting against Long Su King previously, he had only triggered its Stage 1 power. But now he did his best. It seemed that there was only a slight difference between the Stage 1 power and the Stage 2's. In fact, it enabled Jian Wushuang to exert a power that was 10 times more powerful than his original one. Therefore, when Jian Wushuang unleashed the Dawn Light Swordsmanship with all his strength, its power became several times greater than the last time. Chapter 12:10 Victory. Chapter 12:10 Victory. Boom! Following the terrifying explosion, the endless sea of fire that spanned hundreds of thousands of miles blew up. The sea of fire was cleaved in half and the burning flames subsided to reveal a huge tunnel in the middle. A cold sword light split up the sea of fire and obliterated all the obstacles in its way. It slammed violently into Long Su King without losing any of its power. What? Long Su King's eyes widened in bewilderment. Both of them used the small, but how could their disparity in power be so striking? Bam! The sword light hit Long Su King's scarlet armor. Though the armor was a great defensive treasure that managed to weaken the power of Jian Wushuang's attack by 80%, the remaining power still hurt him. Though Long Su King had a strong body, the remaining force in Jian Wushuang's attack still caused him to spit out blood. He was sent tumbling backward in a miserable condition. Just then, a ghost-like figure appeared in front of him. It was Jian Wushuang. The grim-faced Jian Wushuang exuded a startlingly potent killing intent. Majestic power was converging on his right index finger. That was the ancient god power. Third finger of the ancient god, world-shattering. Jian Wushuang roared. He then pointed his right index finger that harbored an intense force at Long Su King. Buzz! The spectral image of a golden-armored ancient god, about 100 feet high, appeared in the sky. The spectral image of the golden-armored ancient god overlooked all living creatures. He gradually lifted his strong right arm and pointed his finger at Long Su King. With a cracking sound, the space around them was crushed into pieces. The space that spanned hundreds of thousands of miles turned into fine dust as the ancient god pointed. The horrible power would even startle universe masters. This was the third finger, a skill unique to the ancient god clan. Now that he had become a 4-star ancient god of imperial kinsmen, Jian Wushuang could finally unleash a hint of this power. The third finger had the power to shatter worlds. No! The terrified Long Su King could not stop his momentum as he was sent flying backward. Neither could he put up any form of resistance. He watched helplessly as the giant gold finger came closer to him and finally hit him. The tremendous ancient god power bombarded Long Su King. The finger continued to hit him until it pressed his body to the ground in the same manner a giant would crush an ant. Crash! The endless ruins below abruptly exploded, creating a sinkhole that was thousands of meters deep and hundreds of thousands of miles wide. Long Su King lied at the bottom of the sinkhole. No sound came from him. It was hard to tell if he was alive or dead. Buzz! The giant gold finger plunged. The spectral image of the golden-armored ancient god gradually vanished, restoring calm in the world. The entire battle fortress fell into silence. The silence, however, lasted only for a brief moment before a violent noise resounded. He won. Palace Master Wushuang won. Ha! He's truly the strongest expert in the green fire world. He's so powerful. So powerful. Humph! Didn't Long Su King say Palace Master Wushuang's strength is disappointing? Didn't he call Palace Master Wushuang a loser? Ha! Go on. I dare him to keep spouting that nonsense. It's obvious that Palace Master Wushuang didn't go all out. He probably just used very little of his power and that was why he was temporarily defeated. Long Su King thought he would win. What a joke! Palace Master Wushuang defeated him twice with his full strength and now he was almost killed. That was a great victory. Inside the battle fortress, the Green Fire World experts caused an uproar. We won. The eyes of the other palace masters, including Samsara Temple Master, gleamed. Ha! Did you all see that? That's my junior brother. Bai Hu, Jian Wushuang's third senior brother, cackled among the crowd. Shui Lingtian and Purple Mountain who stood next to him were also pleasantly surprised. Their reactions were very different from the reactions of the many Gene Kingdom experts who were also watching the battle from inside the ancient spaceship. Like the Green Fire World experts, they had also seen the outcome. Did Long Su King lose? He's the strongest universe master in our kingdom and has never lost to another universe master since he began serving our monarch. He even defeated the strongest universe master from hostile forces more than 5 million years ago. How could a Dao master defeat him? I heard Jian Wushuang has been cultivating for less than 5,000 years. He really is a genius. Less than 5,000 years? Is he that unbelievably talented? The Gene Kingdom experts were in shock. Even so, Long Su King's defeat did not dampen their morale. After all, their monarch was their real backbone. It would take their monarch's defeat to deliver them a truly crushing blow. The Gene Kingdom had seen a great many powerful enemies since its establishment, but its monarch had remained undefeated. The monarch of the Gene Kingdom was the real god of its people. The monarch of the Gene Kingdom also had a clear look at the battle from the Grand Palace, which was the core of the spaceship. There was an unwitting faint smile on his face. Jian Wushuang has made such great progress in only 80 years. That's impressive. He sighed in admiration. He then turned to look at the aloof girl standing below the platform. Jiao Shi, isn't there a genius in your sect? Who's stronger, he or Jian Wushuang? He casually asked. My senior brother is stronger in terms of raw strength, but Jian Wushuang is surely talented to show that sort of ability in an isolated place like the eternal chaotic world. I don't think that he's weaker than my senior brother, she replied. Oh. The monarch of the Gene Kingdom frowned. It's unfortunate that your senior brother isn't here. I'd love to see him fight Jian Wushuang. Lord Jinfeng, how can you joke around when you don't even know if your top fighter is still alive? Shouldn't you think of a countermeasure? Jiao Shi asked, smiling faintly at him. You wanted Long Su King to either defeat or kill Jian Wushuang to demoralize Green Fire Palace. That way, you don't even need to use what you've prepared for this war to destroy them. It seems that your plan has fallen through. Chapter 12:11 The Great War Begins. Chapter 12:11 The Great War Begins. Jiao Shi was not a subordinate of the monarch of the Gene Kingdom. She simply cooperated with him. She was well aware of his plans. In order to destroy the Green Fire World, he asked her to prepare a great weapon at a high cost. He could easily succeed with the weapon, but he did not want to rashly use it due to the steep price he must pay. His greatest wish was to destroy the Green Fire World without using the weapon. The monarch of the Gene Kingdom sneered. Though Long Su's defeat benefited the Green Fire World, I can still easily destroy them with the power I have. He then gave his next order. Go, Red Snow. Many experts of the Gene Kingdom gathered on the deck of the spaceship were poised to go. Their leader, Red Snow King, wore a grim expression when he received the order from the monarch. I didn't expect Jian Wushuang to defeat Long Su King. Red Snow King sighed and shook his head. Then, a terrifying aura erupted from him. He looked at the experts of his kingdom standing behind him. It's showtime, everyone. Let's go. With a wave of his hand, Red Snow King became the first to storm out of the spaceship. A large number of experts followed after him. With eyes that gleamed red and auras that abruptly soared, they charged toward the battle fortress where Green Fire Palace lied like a sea of wasps. The Green Fire World experts noticed them as soon as they exited their spaceship. Here they come. Jian Wushuang stood on the battleground, staring down the approaching Gene Kingdom experts with a cold expression. Inside the battle fortress, the Green Fire World experts stood with their hands clenched as they made their resolutions for the battle. Everyone, here comes the war that will determine the future of Green Fire World. Samsara Temple Master, who stood next to the other palace masters, said loudly, We'll do as planned. Void, Tang Emperor, Sunrise, Red Lotus, Jian Wushuang, and I will fight them with tactical formations that our Dao masters made. New palace masters, stay in the battle fortress with 1,000 celestial masters who had just made their breakthrough with life elixirs. We'll try our best to draw the Gene Kingdom experts here. Then, I'll give you my command to ambush them. Don't let them run. You'd better injure them heavily with one strike. Yes, the palace masters around him answered, all of them nodding. The Gene Kingdom was unaware that they had more than 10 new universe masters and 1,000 new celestial masters. This was their trump card. Palace Master Yun. Samsara Temple Master turned to Palace Master Yun, who had just recently become a universe master. I'll leave the battle fortress to you as usual. Open the restriction immediately if anyone returns to recover from injuries. Use the divine rays of the north where you see fit. Try and provide support to the experts as much as possible so we can cause the Gene Kingdom the greatest damage. No problem. Palace Master Yun nodded solemnly. In the war against the Gene Kingdom 500 million years ago, he was also in charge of the battle fortress. He was the only one in the entire Greenfire world that could use it so perfectly. Everyone will definitely win this war. Samsara Temple Master roared. We'll definitely win. The numerous palace masters echoed his sentiments with solemn nods. Go! Samsara Temple Master waved his hands and charged into the battlefield. Simultaneously, his loud and solemn voice reverberated in the entire battle fortress. Everyone, come and fight with me. His voice entered everyone's ears and inspired many experts of the Greenfire world. Fight! Fight! Their battle intent skyrocketed so splendidly that the world paled in comparison. Their resolute battle cries echoed in the sky. Fight! 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 Everyone inside the battle fortress responded to Samsara Temple Master's battle cry. Go, Bloodseeker Formation. Go, Green Dragon Formation. Go, Sky-Splitting Formation. Go, God of Underworld Formation. Many Dao Masters, who had been ready to go, teamed up and quickly formed tactical formations one after another, just as they had rehearsed. Tall and roaring figures leaped up from the battle fortress. There were no less than 1,000 of such massive formations that spread as far as the eye could see. These formations converged all the powers of the Dao Masters, allowing them to unleash a force that was far beyond what they were originally capable of. Then under the leadership of Samsara Temple Master, Void Temple Master, Tang Emperor, Sunrise Sword Emperor, and Palace Master Red Lotus, they marched out of the battle fortress to meet the experts from the Gene Kingdom. Jian Wushuang spearheaded the forces of the Greenfire world, making him the one closest to the Gene Kingdom experts. Gene Kingdom. Jian Wushuang's gaze was icy cold as he stared down his enemies. These Gene Kingdom experts were formidable indeed. These were unlikely all of the Gene Kingdom forces, but Red Snow King was still commanding more than 50 Universe Masters and 1,500 Celestial Masters. If this was 80 years ago, the Green Fire Palace would have rendered completely helpless. Things were different now. Jian Wushuang, let me come out, said a deep voice inside Jian Wushuang's mind. Gu King. Jian Wushuang's expression changed. I've been staying in you for long. It's time for me to stretch my limbs, Gu King said. Jian Wushuang was astonished. Gu King had lived inside him for a long time and would typically help him recover his spiritual power or heal his wounds. Seldom did they fight together. The plenilune that was born with Ancient God was known as his closest battle companion. It was only when Ancient God joined hands with plenilune that they could perform their best. As soon as Jian Wushuang held out his hands, Gu King's massive plenilune body appeared in the void. He looked particularly ferocious with scarlet scales and numerous savage tendrils covering his body. Jian Wushuang, do you still remember what we did together in the Kingdom Tang of the Eastern Land? His solemn voice reverberated in Jian Wushuang's ears. Of course. Jian Wushuang smiled as he looked at him. Are you going to do it again? What say you? Gu King also looked at him with his scarlet eyes. They stared at each other. Jian Wushuang's smile widened. Chapter 12:12, A Sharp Warning. Chapter 12:12, A Sharp Warning. Kill, they cried. Kill. More voices chimed in. Kill them, the people were shouting. The battle cry burst forth from the battlefield. Countless experts from the two camps approached each other like wasps. Quietly suspended in the center of the battlefield was an enormous scarlet worm beast with thousands of tentacles. On it stood Jian Wushuang, eyes gleaming and staring straight ahead. Experts from two camps were getting closer to him. It's time! Gu King shouted. Gu King! Jian Wushuang called out. Jian Wushuang shouted. Leave it to me, he screamed. Plenilune's secret skills, howling to sky. Gu King cried out. Gu King roared when the horrible aura leaped up from his huge body. He opened his bloody mouth and took a deep breath. The roar broke out so violently that everything in the universe trembled. Hoot! He cried. With a hint of sharpness, the roar rocked everything in the universe, even vibrating time and space. The world was shaken in the blink of an eye. When Gu King was roaring, a faint fire of soul also burned fiercely in Jian Wushuang's sea of consciousness. In an instant, a vast strength of soul burst out. Ancient God's secret skill, mind-controlling, shouted Gu King. The same mind-controlling secret skill turned into a horrible soul attack with Gu King's roar when it was combined with strength of soul. Sound waves that were visible to the human eye kept being released and amplified. They rushed towards experts of the Gold Kingdom in heavy waves. Experts of the Gold Kingdom had been attacked even before the battle started. These waves contained sound wave attack and the horrible soul attack. They attacked separately, but were still damaging. More than 50 universe masters of the Gold Kingdom trembled under the heavy attack, but soon returned to normal. However, more than 90% of the 1,500 holy masters were immediately struck into dullness. They stood still like idiots. Damn! The Red Snow King shouted, changing his expression. The battle was underway, and already over 90% of his holy masters were unresponsive. This could be a disaster for the Gold Kingdom. Kill! Screamed Jian Wushuang. Kill! Cried Gu King. None of experts from the Green Fire world were affected. In the blink of an eye, huge tactical formations rushed into the Gold Kingdom's camp, bringing with them horrible power. The Holy Masters, who were still stuck in a daze, could not react at all. Boom! Thundered all around. Right at this moment, while over 90% of the Holy Masters were in a daze, the experts of the Green Fire world rushed onto the battlefield and slaughtered willfully. In one breath, they had killed over 400 holy masters. Damn it! Cried the Red Snow King. Bastard! Another master shouted. The universe masters of the Gold Kingdom started cursing. The holy masters who had not been killed yet regained consciousness, but were still in a state of shock. Obviously, experts from the Green Fire world could not help being overjoyed. Jian Wushuang, well done, one of them shouted. Well done, said another. Impressive, Your Highness, cried yet another. So many people shouted that Jian Wushuang could not recognize their individual voices. He was also overjoyed when he saw that over 400 holy masters of the Gold Kingdom had been exterminated. 400 holy masters, he said, satisfied. The Gold Kingdom had many holy masters, but it was still a great loss when 400 of them were killed. Most importantly, they had been killed even before the battle had started. This was a sharp warning. Besides, Jian Wushuang had managed to beat Long Su King perfectly. Experts from the Green Fire world joined in the rising morale. Gu King, let's go, Jian Wushuang said. Okay, Gu King answered and nodded. His enormous body rushed out towards the front of the battlefield. Jian Wushuang fixed his gaze at the most central battlefield, knowing clearly what he should do. Our tactical formations of Holy Master's battle strength is at the Holy Master level. They were almost able to fight the Holy Masters of the Gold Kingdom. It was essential to fight their universe masters, Jian Wushuang said with a cold look. Speaking of universe masters, the Green Fire world had only 6, including him. There were less than 20 huge tactical formations capable of battle strength at the universe master level. The Gold Kingdom, however, had more than 50 universe masters. Long Su King was badly injured and is hovering between life and death. Their monarch didn't show up. No one in their camp can resist me, Gu King said. While I can still fight freely, I must kill as many universe masters as possible to weaken their battle strength, Jian Wushuang said. Jian Wushuang was bursting with killing intent. His eyes locked on a red-robed woman far away who was carrying a scarlet scythe. She was a universe master of the Gold Kingdom. Kill, he chanted. Jian Wushuang growled, jumped off of Gu King's body, and quietly floated outward. You want to stop me with such weak tactical formations? Naive, laughed the woman. The red-robed woman looked cold with amazing killing intent in her eyes. She was fighting a Bloodseeker tactical formation formed by thousands of Dao Masters who were in implied agreement with each other. A Bloodseeker created in battle was able to fight Universe Masters. The Bloodseeker was the same as normal Universe Masters in either power or defense, and even a little stronger than some ordinary ones. They moved slowly. The red-robed woman held the scarlet scythe and floated quickly, making fun of the Bloodseeker. I'm not playing anymore. You losers can go to hell, she shrieked. The red-robed woman looked cold, and the scarlet scythe in her hand gleamed with frost. She floated and quickly came to the head of the huge Bloodseeker. She raised the scarlet scythe, stabbing directly at the space between the eyebrows. Unexpectedly, a gust of wind came from behind. What? She said, shocked, and quickly turned around. She saw a dazzling sword light and the figure of the scarlet-robed man who used the sword. Jian Wushuang, the red-robed woman shouted with great fear. From the spaceship, she had seen how Jian Wushuang had defeated Long Su King. Even Long Su King was utterly defeated by Jian Wushuang. What could she do? Chapter 12 Horrible Jian Wushuang. Chapter 12-13 Horrible Jian Wushuang. Run! The red-robed woman shouted as she began to flee immediately. Can you? Asked Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang had a great killing intent. His sword light dashed out and influenced the surrounding spacetime. He instantly appeared behind her. Why are you so fast? She asked with her eyes wide open. She tried her best to resist. There was a gust of wind when her body was pierced. Her corpse fell downward slowly. First blood, shouted Jian Wushuang. With a glint in his eyes, he floated outwards again. In a flash, he appeared behind a gray-robed elder. With a roaring killing intent, red clouds rolled onto the elder. He sensed when Jian Wushuang showed up and immediately waved his hand to conjure a huge red cloud that rushed towards Jian Wushuang. Humph, the elder said. Jian Wushuang sneered. Under the influence of ancient god power, he was able to use the power of Stage 2 blood-killing armor. 3 waves. Jian Wushuang shouted. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 sword shadows immediately rushed out from Jian Wushuang. They combined with each other and rushed together, like 3 waves. Bang! The first wave directly hit and dispersed the red cloud created by the gray-robed elder. Dung! The second wave collided with his hand, making it shiver slightly inside his red glove. Then his entire arm bent. Swish! The third wave pierced his throat effortlessly. Before he died, he opened his eyes wide with disbelief. Second, shouted Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang didn't intend to stop after he killed the gray-robed elder. Immediately, he rushed behind a 2-meter-tall man. Third, he cried. In a second, the tall man, who was of Universe Master level, was also killed by Jian Wushuang. The fourth, Jian Wushuang shouted after killing another. The fifth, he continued. There were too many experts in the battle, messing up the fight. Jian Wushuang just kept slaughtering experts of the Gold Kingdom, using his absolute strength and swordsmanship. At this point, he had already killed 6 Universe Masters and dozens of Holy Masters. This all in a brief moment. Experts of the Gold Kingdom were not blind. They were appalled to see Jian Wushuang killing 6 universe masters so quickly. It was horrible. Jian Wushuang kept killing experts of the Gold Kingdom, as if he were the god of death. No one could survive once targeted. Jian Wushuang also managed to kill several universe masters. That's too powerful, an expert of the Gold Kingdom cried. How did this happen? Asked another. We're universe masters too. We may be a little weaker, but we shouldn't be killed so easily, should we? A third questioned. Even Long Su King can't kill us this easily, but Jian Wushuang, said the first. All of the experts were frightened, both from the Gold Kingdom and the Green Fire world. Normally, universe masters were powerful, had outstanding skills, and were also good at surviving. They could at least manage to run away if they met someone stronger. However, universe masters of the Gold Kingdom were shocked to realize that Jian Wushuang could kill them easily, as if they were merely holy masters or Dao masters. Jian Wushuang killed holy masters as easy as blowing off dust. Unexpectedly, he also killed universe master with just one strike. They did not even have a chance to strike back. They would be dead as soon as they were targeted. They did not know that Jian Wushuang was not only strong, but also fast with his swordplay of spacetime. Whenever he used his swordsmanship, he could affect spacetime at a terrifying pace, and no other universe master present could compete. Besides, he had soul attack in harmony. He had worked with Gu King to use it on many people. Universe masters could, undoubtedly, resist. If he attacked universe masters one by one with the soul attack, none of them would find it hard to resist. Even if they could, they would be slow thinking. It would be then that Jian Wushuang would kill them. With swordplay of space-time, soul attack, and my swordsmanship, I can now slaughter all ordinary universe masters. Jian Wushuang said with a cold look. This frenzied slaughter made the experts from the Gold Kingdom shudder with fear, but soon they realized how to fight back. We must stop him from slaughtering, one expert cried. Stop him. We must stop him, added another. Horrible. He's so fast. If we don't stop him, it won't be long before he kills all our universe masters, said a third expert. Tianshan King, Mo King, Donglong King, Guma King, go and stop him, ordered the first. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. 4 people rushed over and surrounded Jian Wushuang. Said Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang stared at them, 4 males and 1 female. Compared to the ordinary universe masters, they looked even more powerful with much stronger auras. Well, the Gold Kingdom has something. In the Green Fire Palace, only Samsara Temple Master and I have the peak battle strength of Universe Master. The Gold Kingdom sent 4 peak Universe Masters so easily, Jian Wushuang secretly sighed. The 4 Universe Masters who had put some pressure on him were obviously peak experts. Jian Wushuang, you're not going to keep slaughtering, the female Universe Master said coldly. Really? Jian Wushuang replied smilingly. Show me, he said. As soon as his voice faded away, he rushed out again. Instead of rushing at the 4 of them, he headed for the void nearby. Apparently, he did not intend to tangle with them. On the contrary, he wanted to seize his chance to kill as many experts of the Gold Kingdom as he could. The female master said. Gumu King sneered as her green silk ribbon turned into an unceasing flow of rivers which pierced through the void and rushed towards Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang used a strange illusion skill, giving several residual shadows out in the void. He easily dodged the silk ribbon. As soon as he stood still, he sensed a wind-breaking sound from behind him. A faint, spectral image of a heavy sword covering thousands of miles rushed directly towards him. Jian Wushuang squinted and brandished his sword. He used the first move of the Heaven's Bane. It was so powerful that it crashed the spectral image of the huge sword with just a turn of his hand. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The 4 peak universe masters appeared again, surrounding Jian Wushuang. Chapter 12:14 Tragic. Chapter 12:14 tragic. Jian Wushang, like I said, you have no chance, Gumu King growled. Impressive, Jian Wushuang said, looking surprised. Let's do it together, Gumu King gave an order coldly. The four-peak universe masters around him started right away. Gumu King waved her silk ribbon, which attacked Jian Wushuang like a snake. Mo King waved the heavy sword, which was huge enough to cover half of the void. Donglong King looked cold and rushed out, like a flash of lightning. His hand suddenly turned into a dragon's claw and came down. Tianshan King waved his long stick. All of them were straining as hard as they could. Get out of the way! Jian Wushuang shouted, panicking. With cold eyes, Jian Wushuang burst out with sword essence. The whole world abruptly turned dark. Sword light struck like the first light of morning dawn. Bang! It crushed all the moves of the four-peak universe masters in a flash. What? Said Gumu King. Our joint offensive was smashed in a twinkling? Asked Mo King. No wonder he defeated Long Su King, cried Donglong King. The four-peak universe masters spoke in wonderment. After smashing their offensive, the stroke of dawn remained powerful and rushed directly at Gumu King. Someone rushed and stood in front of her. Tianshan King. Gumu King's eyes lit up. Leave it to me, Tianshan King said with a somber look. Suddenly, a golden halo appeared, forming a golden bell over Tianshan King. Another golden bell inside him began to shudder like crazy, bursting out with a dazzling, golden light. Clang! The stroke of dawn hit the golden bell. Its golden halo faded, but returned back to normal after a few minutes. Jian Wushuang asked in confusion, slightly changing his expression. I didn't expect them to have such a protection treasure. This is a problem, he thought to himself. In one-on-one fights, Jian Wushuang was confident he could beat and even kill them. Unexpectedly, they attacked him together, however. They were good at attacking, tying, rushing, and offending, respectively. They cooperated with each other in perfect unison. Even Jian Wushuang found it hard to beat them quickly. What was worse, they were determined to hold him up so that he could not get away. Well, then I have do this, thought Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang squinted and trembled. Soon the second original body appeared out of nowhere, followed by Gu King, who rushed over to help. He headed directly for other battlefields. That's a doppelganger? They said in unison, all shocked. Indeed. We four managed to stop him with some effort. I don't think it's possible to stop his doppelganger at the same time, though, Mo King said in a low voice. Normally, a doppelganger has a weaker battle strength than the original body. All we need to do is to stop him. Leave the doppelganger to the others, Gumu King said seriously and then added, let's go. Swoosh. Again, the four-peak universe masters rushed towards Jian Wushuang. His first original body also went up. The first original body was stopped. However, his second original body was still fighting on the battlefield freely. Without the blood-killing armor, the second original body was stronger than ordinary peak universe masters, but not as strong as supreme ones. The cooperation of Gu King still enabled him to fight in every direction on the battlefield. However, he failed to fight as fiercely as he had before. On the large battlefield, the experts from the two camps fought at close quarters. The battle reached a white-hot stage. Jian Wushuang had worked with Gu King to kill more than 400 holy masters in one stroke. Besides that, many other experts were slaughtered by him. The Gold Kingdom was absolutely terrified. When Jian Wushuang's first original body was stopped, the Gold Kingdom gradually recovered from the shock. Afterwards, the difference in overall strength between two camps was revealed. Even if more than 400 holy master had been killed, the remaining holy masters of the Gold Kingdom were not inferior to those of the Green Fire world. Their universe masters were still stronger. As the killing got more and more fierce, the Gold Kingdom looked more and more advanced. Come on and kill them, Hongxue King shouted. Hongxue King laughed and pierced his long spear through the void mercilessly. Blood-speckled snow fell when his spear upon a large, green dragon tactical formation and pierced through its vast body smoothly. Boom! The giant green dragon fell apart. Thousands of Dao masters, who formed the tactical formation, suddenly scattered and ran in fear. The Red Snow King pierced again, unleashing horrible power that killed almost half of them. Only a few Dao masters managed to flee. They desperately fled towards the battle fortress. Unfortunately, few of them succeeded to enter. A tactical formation could be very powerful, enabling holy masters to fight powerfully. There was, however, a fatal flaw. As soon as a tactical formation broke down, the holy masters could not quickly reform again. They could do nothing except be slaughtered. Ever since the war had begun, the holy masters of the Green Fire world had formed thousands of tactical formations. Now, a third of them had broken down. Over 80% of the holy masters involved had been killed mercilessly. Without the tactical formation, the holy masters may easily be killed unintentionally, even if they weren't targeted. Tragic. It was tragic for the entire battlefield. Experts from both sides were crazy. They're worn out. Go and kill them, shouted the Red Snow King. The roaring of the Red Snow King reverberated over the sky. The experts on his side also roared, which boosted their morale. On the contrary, the Green Fire world seemed to be defeated. All right, time to retreat, said a master from the Green Fire world. Samsara Temple Master watched this coldly. He gave an order. Retreat, he shouted. Back to the battle fortress, he continued. At his command, experts of the Green Fire world, including large tactical formations, immediately left their opponents and returned to the hold of the battle fortress at an amazing pace. The two original bodies of Jian Wushuang also turned and left. Chapter 12:15 broke out. Chapter 12:15 broke out. Can you? Shouted Samsara Temple Master. Let no one leave. Go and kill all of them, screamed the Red Snow King. Red Snow King went into hysterics. Other experts of the Gold Kingdom growled and hunted enemies down with scarlet faces. They realized that the Green Fire world was now retreating. They could catch them with a blow, like hitting a drowning dog. In the camp of the Gold Kingdom, the experts were in a serious rage, filled with killing intent. The experts of the Green Fire world were fleeing. Samsara Temple Master looked cold, but he remained calm. He glanced at the enemies frantically hunting his experts, and his eyes gleamed in amazement. Your Highness, they're now inside the attack range of Divine Rays of the North, Palace Master Yun reported. The Palace Masters and the Masters in the Battle Fortress have been fully prepared, he continued. Good. Stay for my order, Samsara Temple Master said. Yes, Palace Master Yun replied. Red Lotus, are you ready? Samsara Temple Master asked through a message. Yes. With the help of 3 7-star soul-seizing cores, I will unleash the greatest power freely, Red Lotus replied. Great, Samsara Temple Master praised, his eyes gleaming. Having hesitated for a while, he took out the message token for Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, can you do the old trick again? He asked. The old trick? Jian Wushuang asked. Obviously, he knew what Samsara Temple Master meant. Jian Wushuang, tell him yes. You can do it again, Gu King said to him. Yes, Jian Wushuang immediately replied to Samsara Temple Master. Yes. Samsara Temple Master was amazed. Great. Do it at my command, he said. Okay, Jian Wushuang replied and nodded. Everything is ready. Now we're just waiting for the enemies, Samsara Temple Master said excitedly. In the battle fortress, the remaining dozen palace masters and thousands of holy masters gathered under the restriction. Among them were Emperor Shao, Emperor Yun and his senior brother Shui Lingtian, all acquaintances of Jian Wushuang. They waited quietly, but they could not help roaring on the inside. This was where they had been staying since the war had begun. They watched everything, but none of them made a move. They kept waiting, saving up their strength for the final stroke. On the battlefield, experts of the Green Fire world were fleeing in chaos, chased by those of the Gold Kingdom. As they ran, they came closer to the battle fortress. 30,000 miles. 24,000 miles. 15,000 miles. Soon, the experts of the Gold Kingdom were less than 3,000 miles away from the battle fortress. Even an ordinary Dao master could cover 3,000 miles in a second. The experts inside the battle fortress could easily dash out in a flash when the enemies had almost no time to resist. It was perfect timing. Go! Samsara Temple Master ordered. As Samsara Temple Master shouted, he gave the order to Palace Master Yun as well as the Palace Masters and the Holy Masters who were waiting in the battle fortress. This order also went to Palace Master Red Lotus and Jian Wushuang. When the order arrived on the battlefield, Red Lotus swallowed an aquamarine elixir. Her robe and hair floated, giving out a horrible aura. The scarlet bracelet she had been wearing also glowed brightly. A giant blood river raged out from it. Splash! The blood river rose in a tide surging directly towards the battlefield and covered thousands of miles. Everyone on the battlefield was covered by the blood river. Jiu realm, press, shouted Red Lotus. The horrible pressure, like from a bomb, burst out immediately. Experts of the Gold Kingdom, who had been on the chase, suddenly stopped, as if stuck in a quagmire. Both their speed and power were suddenly hindered. What? They cried out. It was so shocking that they were stuck in the realm pressure before they realized what was happening. Meanwhile, the restriction inside the battle fortress was started suddenly. A golden brilliancy roared up. Impressively, it was a golden mirror, giving off an ancient aura. Inside the mirror, rays of golden light were encapsulated. Followed by swish, 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 swish. Dozens of golden beams burst out. They were divine rays of the north equipped for the battle fortress. 18 divine rays of the north, in total, moved faster than anyone could imagine. In a flash, they arrived at the camp of the Gold Kingdom and covered 18 of their experts at the forefront. There were 8 universe masters among them, and all of them were immediately pierced as soon as divine rays of the north reached them. Passing through them, the rays continued to attack the experts behind them. The divine rays of the north were so overwhelming that all of the experts of the Gold Kingdom were killed as soon as they were targeted. They did not even have a chance to fight back. The 18 divine rays of the north dissipated in an instant, having smashed the 8 universe masters and dozens of holy masters behind them. On top of that, dozens of palace masters and holy masters, who had been ready to go inside the battle fortress, rushed out with the divine rays of the north. Kill! They shouted. Kill! They shouted again. The roar of killing reverberated throughout the area. Several figures with bursting auras appeared before the experts from the Gold Kingdom. Their faces were distorted with astonishment. The Red Snow King especially looked scared, as if he had seen a ghost. Dozens of universe masters and thousands of holy masters? He said in shock. How is this possible? He asked. Since when did the Green Fire Palace have so many experts? He continued. Red Snow King looked incredulous. On the other side of the battlefield, Jian Wushuang suddenly turned around as the palace masters and the holy masters rushed out. Gu King, Jian Wushuang said. I'm ready. Gu King replied in a loud voice. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed with sharpness and instantly. Ancient God's secret skill. Mind controlling, shouted Gu King. Plenilun's secret skills. Roaring, said Jian Wushuang. The roar of Plenilune and wrath of the ancient god fell again. What an earth-shaking moment. Chapter 12:16, The First Triumph. Chapter 12:16, The First Triumph. Too sudden. Everything happened too quickly. The sudden change had caught plenty of experts of the Jin Kingdom stunned, and there was no time for them to react. But the tide of the battle had greatly shifted. The experts of the Jin Kingdom were all trapped within the Jiuyu domain. The 18 streams of the divine rays of the north shone instantly and wounded the experts of the Jin Kingdom. Noticing their cue, the palace masters and holy masters sprang into action, throwing themselves at their quarries like pouncing predators. The forces of the Jin Kingdom had been pursuing those from the Green Fire world earlier. This had brought them into the range of barely thousands of kilometers from the battle fortress, allowing the ambushing masters to rain death upon them in such a short distance. Jian Wushuang joined hands with the Gu King, unleashing the same technique again. It was a total annihilation of the experts of the Jin Kingdom. Retaliation. Get back at them immediately. Kill them all. Slay them all. Spare no quarter. The experts of the Green Fire world who formerly had been routed turned back and mount a deadly reprisal. The ambush had confounded most of the holy masters of the Jin Kingdom. Without even realizing that the tables had been turned, many of them lost their lives by the Green Fire world experts' tide of vengeance. Some who had been fortunate to survive the first wave of onslaught were only catching their breath when the Green Fire world's experts fighting back had surprised them. They were earlier defeated, routed by them. But all of the sudden, how the tides of the battle directly changed. Boom, 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 boom. The cacophony of the destruction and carnage thundered across the battlefield. The experts of the Jin Kingdom had lost a third of their number in just a simple confrontation. With the enhancement effects of the Jiu domain and the divine rays of the north, the host of the Green Fire world continued pushing ahead the wave of death, the merciless onslaught of butchery spreading towards the survivors whose will to fight immediately smothered. Damn, it is a trap. It is an ambush set by the Green Fire world. Retreat! Retreat at once! The Hong Shui King sounded his retreat, while his livid roars could be clearly heard from afar. The survivors of the ambush retreated frantically. It was apparent that they had fallen face-first into the ambush nicely set by the Green Fire world. The Green Fire world had divided part of their forces, concealing the bulk of them whilst using only the splintered group as decoys to lure their enemies closer to the battle fortress. When the enemies had come near, the experts and the masters sprung their trap, delivering a swift and deadly blow into swiftly to defeat their enemies. Damn! From whence did the experts of the Green Fire world come from actually? The Hong Shui King could hardly suppress his anger. He knew full well the powers and effects of the Jiu realm and the divine rays of the north. But he had hardly anticipated that the experts of the Green Fire world had wielded such strength and valor. How was it possible that the Green Fire world had birthed more than 10 universe masters and more than 1,000 holy masters in just a span of 8 decades? We've lost. The Jin Kingdom has utterly lost. It was now the armies of the Green Fire world who were now slaughtering and butchering what was left of the Jin Kingdom's armies. What had been a thrashing of the armies of the Green Fire world by the experts of the Jin Kingdom had instead turned out to be a total rout of the latter by the former. A good many of the experts of the Jin Kingdom had not been able to escape the grim fate of death that awaited them in the complete annihilation of the forces of the Jin Kingdom. Just then, "What's this?" The Samsara Temple Master, who was also at the battlefield, felt a sudden tingle to his senses. He looked far away in the distance and saw a great number of experts pouring out from the ancient spaceship at the farthest distance. The experts swarmed in a huge pack, racing speedily towards them. "Halt! Hold your horses!" The Samsara Temple Master commanded out aloud. Despite feeling displeased to be deprived of their chance to further exact retribution, the experts of the Green Fire world nevertheless relented to the will of their leader and promptly stopped. "Let us retreat." With a wave of his arm, the Samsara Temple Master beckoned to his men. The experts of the Green Fire world immediately fell back and returned into the hold of the battle fortress. The reinforcements of the Jin Kingdom swiftly joined up with the survivors of the ambush and escorted them back to their spaceship. This brought down the curtains for the first confrontation of the war between the Green Fire world and the Jin Kingdom. Within the holds of the battle fortress. "We've won. A huge victory. We have claimed the win for the first battle." The rest of the survivors would have also perished if not for the timely appearance of their reinforcements. Savage yells and jubilant howls of celebration could be heard everywhere in the battle fortress. The Green Fire World had indeed claimed first blood in their first battle. It was not only a victory, but a complete rout of their foes. The palace masters huddled together in revelry. This is exciting. It has been quite some time since I have enjoyed such exhilaration. Ha! The scoundrels from the Jin Kingdom have underestimated our forces, allowing us to mount an ambush which had crippled their legions with only one strike. It was all thanks to the impeccable battle plans and strategies drawn up for this battle. Much of the credit should also go to Palace Master Wushuang. Indeed, the two sonic wave attacks performed by Palace Master Wushuang and his worm beast have thrown the enemies into confusion, buying us two precious opportunities to launch critical assaults onto them. Moreover, his triumph against King Longshu has greatly lifted the morale of our armies. There would not be such a great victory without Palace Master Wushuang. The Palace Masters continued their hearty discussions about their win. Elsewhere, Jian Wushuang himself stayed with the Samsara Temple Master and the Void Temple Master. This is the first in 5 million years that the Green Fire World has achieved victory against the forces of the Jin Kingdom. The Samsara Temple Master mused as he laughed, but even in our last victory 5 million years ago, we won the gritty battle only because of the battle fortress. This time, we have won, even against the main force of the legions of the Jin Kingdom. Standing together, Jian Wushuang, the Void Temple Master, the Sunrise Sword Emperor, and Red Lotus all shared a smile. Then again, there is hardly any margin for hubris and arrogance. This is only the first confrontation. While this could be only a test by the forces of the Jin Kingdom, we have shown them the full extent of our might. The victory itself was secured by the use of strategy and deception. It is still a fact that the Jin Kingdom still has strengths greater than us. The Samsara Temple Master continued. Jian Wushuang and the others nodded in agreement. They would hardly be proud with only a win. It was no secret to them that this was merely a test by the forces of the Jin Kingdom. This could well be proven by the fact that the monarch of the Jin Kingdom's absence from the battlefield. Masters, the Tang Emperor appeared out of the thin air. You have a count of our casualties? The Samsara Temple Master looked at him inquiringly. That is so. The Tang Emperor nodded grimly. Noticing his expression, Jian Wushuang and the others instantly understood that he had come bearing ill news. How was it? The Samsara Temple Master pressed. We may have won the battle, but at the cost of terrible losses. The Tang Emperor explained. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.